All right. It's another Saturday night. Therefore, another Saturday night Shoot the Breeze. I want to thank everyone who will attend tonight. I want to thank those of you who will be in the chat tonight. And I want to thank those of you who check out the playback. A significant number of you do, in fact, check out the playback. So I appreciate all of you. Thanks in advance. You know the vibes. I come on first or early to give you a heads up as to what we'll be discussing tonight. One of our topics will be, do you sympathize with the plight of women? Another would be, shout out to Marilyn Mosby, a great black woman who stood up for Black Baltimore and now is being witch hunted, I guess. We're going to look at an example of something and I answered the question, is it black excellence or not? In fact, I think I remember this one. This has to do with the defense contract a black guy got in the U.S. We're going to talk about travel warnings for the Bahamas and Jamaica. And we're going to talk about support black rum business. Support black rum business. Why do I feel like we may have discussed that before? But you guys will let me know if we in fact discussed that in the past. Daily affirmations by Pauline is out there saying good evening. Good evening to you. Daily affirmations by Pauline. Make sure you guys check out her channel. Check out her affirmations and check out her book on Amazon as well. Make sure to check her out. I assume I'm being heard. Drop a 1 if I'm being heard. In the meantime, I will start the show officially. And on the other side, I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce any and all of the panelists that show up. You guys do stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about black empowerment. Our show focuses on black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another episode of Shoot the Breeze, a segment of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. And let me introduce my first panelist of the night, Buana. Buana, how are you this week?
My good brethren. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I see our names. I see our names getting slandered during the week, but we'll talk about
it. Get called again. It get called again. Hey, Koku, listen, brother. Continue to do the work, the good work. Your name will get this ain't the first time your name get talked to badly. Continue to do the work. Stay focused, brother. Don't watch left and don't watch right. Stay focused. It's about the people. It's about what we doing. For the one individual who's slandering us is another individual who's talking about us. Very good. Don't worry about it. Let's continue to do the work, brother. Don't worry about it. People can talk with you anyways. Don't worry about it. Just do the work.
Yeah, no, I ain't stressing. I ain't stressing. I just took note of it when I heard it, once again. That's what I do. I take note. But yeah, thanks for coming through again, Buana. Buana, looks like it's just me and you to start the night, but hopefully we'll see some of the other regulars here. And by the way, guys who listen, hit the like button, share it to your social media, and all that good stuff. Talk up the show. Let people know that it's actually a good time, regardless of some of the foolishness sometimes. It's a good time here. So please do that for me. I'm going to drop Shoot the Breeze topic 1 now. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 says, do you sympathize with the plight of women? This came with a link taking us to TikTok. I will share the link with you guys. Let me do that now. And we'll watch the video. And then we shall discuss it.
Girl, 90% are married men. God, I don't want people's husband though. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. 98% of men see me as a hip-hop girl. Every time, can we see? See what? Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. People hardly believe I make my own money. Period, I make my money. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. True love is hard to find. At this point, I feel everybody coming is just to chop and run. Please stay your lane. I'm not available. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. I can't even say I'm broke. They will ask me, with all this body, you are broke. As if I'm selling my body. I'm tired. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Decent clothes for some girls are very indecent for me. I can't wear what other girls are wearing. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Men don't take me serious. They just want to chop and clean mouth. Welcome to my world. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Sometimes I get tired of sharing my number because of the amount of guys that approach me just in a day. Even though I'm a business girl, I need to share contacts. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Not all my female friends like going out with me because they feel I'll get more attention and I might take their men. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. People hardly believe I don't cheat. Welcome to my world.
Oh boy. Buana, do you sympathize with the plight of women after watching that video?
Well, it depends on which women you're talking about. Our women, because we talk about black women in particular, because this is our community. This is our community. So for what I could see, I think that more sympathy is really to be placed on not necessarily the female, but really the men, because the men are in a position where it seems like we are struggling. The sisters, a lot of them, not everyone, but it seems like the sisters have been for a short space of time. I feel like they are doing wonderful things within our community in terms of education, in terms of business. Of course, we're going to look at. I sympathize with the fact that when men see them, they only see their physical beauty, their physical beauty. But there are other aspects to black women that should be appreciated and should be understood. But we live in a real world. We live in a real world where men are drawn to certain things based on their eyes. Unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. In Islamic worlds, they cover up the women. So, and the idea behind that is you are able to see more things outside of her physical beauty or physical prowess. But because we live in the Western world, we are drawn to the attentions of her physical beauty as opposed to what's inside. So I would sympathize on to them based on that. But in terms of economy, in terms of education, in terms of how they've been doing, I think that they are making wonderful strides because they caught up with the game now. The game where they're gonna be left with the obligation of children and left with the obligation of a whole lot of things that it seemed like men in the Western world have skipped out on. So they seem to want to do more things about that scenario, whether just at least have something more to bring to the table than just their physical beauty and prowess. They're going to school, they're educating themselves. I just want as men for there needs to be an equivalent to the things that they are doing in a so-called Western society. Because you don't want a bunch of overly educated female sisters with undereducated men. That's going to be an imbalance that women going to feel dissatisfied with. So I think that really I understand the sympathies when it comes to just solely being looked at as objects, but you're living in the Western world. But on the other side of that, I sympathize with black men as well because I feel like they need to catch up with what the sisters are actively doing in the Western world in terms of education and career wise and doing other kinds of things. So I see a balance in the argument.
I appreciate that, Buana. Yeah, I the struggles because you have hips and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't impress me, to be honest. So yeah, I sympathize with women, not over frivolous shit, and I do think women need to be held accountable as well. I think women have shit they need to be doing as opposed to talking about I have hips, so of course I blah blah blah. There's real shit you could be doing, man. From when I was small, I heard that women is the first teacher. Go out here and help teach these form communities of teachers and help them. But as far as other things in life, other hardships, I absolutely sympathize with them. In the chat, Trigger Happy 262 Plus says we have to get back to our traditions where a woman was also ugly if she had an ugly personality. If everything is holistic, that helps in the type of men and women we want in society. He says, to be fair, I think this woman is on the continent, probably Nigeria. I appreciate that comment. Trigger. Let's welcome in our boy Oni this week. Oni, how are you?
Hey, what's going on? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we got you.
I'm cool.
Good.
I decided not to hold I decided not to hold the mic today.
Decided not to do what?
Hold the mic, make the mic all solid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We didn't get no mic. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So do you sympathize with the plight of women? Should be topic number one. What say you?
Well, I mean, I don't mind the video. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's I'll be honest, because like I said, this is in the continent. A lot of what we know from women in the West is different from women in the continent. So there's no, high graduate rates and, higher income type stuff. Most people are kind of broke there. And unfortunately, like there's also like a lot of sexual abuse, in the sense of, forcing employees to, have sexual favors in order to like advance your career or to keep your career, which is it's actually a normal thing, and it's probably normal in, human society at one point. Or at least I could say that I know that the Maurice Bishop spoke about it in his speech down at Hunter College in New York. That's what was happening in the Caribbean islands at that time. So, that is continuing. It's you do hear a lot of women say, hey, this is how it is, so I do kind of sympathize, I keep saying it's weird being hands-free. I do kind of sympathize in the sense of I don't approve of, like, let's say, sexual abuse or even people just looking at you, just trying to smash and dash, which would be more common with, a beautiful woman. I kind of agree with Trigger in the sense of they could be just bragging and all that kind of stuff. But seeing the life of people, you know, I guess you could say secondhand, maybe firsthand, but seeing the life of people, yeah, I could definitely see how in a weak economy, um, women are pressured towards, the selling of their bodies, and pressured even more so if they are, if they have a body, you know, men want to buy. Um, so yeah, I think there is a need for, I think there's a need for like economic improvement in the way that, uh, like black women would have, well, not just black women, but black men, black women would have opportunities, uh have economic opportunities, economic prospects, relationship prospects that are beyond the physical. But right now, yeah, I mean, I kind of do sympathize with, uh, you know, particularly beautiful women, I guess. I kind of sympathize in the sense of, we haven't done enough on the continent, in order to, give them that sort of economic, space, you know. And of course, I'm kind of, nowadays I'm kind of more partial towards, men getting up and, getting their, like having their shit together, foremost. But especially in like a weak economy, um, like that's even harder. It's harder on the women when the men are in a weak economic position. So I think that, yeah, I definitely would sympathize with, I sympathize with everybody in a poor economic state. That's all I would say.
Appreciate that, Oni. Let's welcome in our boy Black Steel this week. Black Steel, how are you this week?
I'm doing good. How's everyone doing tonight?
I'm hanging in there. I appreciate you coming through.
No.
What's going on,
Happy to
Black
be
Steel?
here.
What's happening, bro?
How you doing? How you doing, Buana? How you doing, Oni? So, I'm sorry, I missed the prompt, but I guess
I can
if
play it
she's
again.
yes, please do. I want to see. I'm sorry, I was distracted by the Nyash, but go ahead.
People hardly believe I make my own money. Period. I make my money. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. True love is hard to find. At this point, I feel everybody coming is just to chop and run. Please stay your lane. I'm not available. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. I can't even say I'm broke. They will ask me, with all this body, you are broke, as if I'm selling my body. I'm tired. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Decent clothes for some girls are very indecent for me. I can't wear what other girls are wearing. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Men don't take me serious. They just want to chop and clean mouth. Welcome to my world. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Sometimes I get tired of sharing my number because of the amount of guys that approach me just in a day. Even though I'm a business girl, I need to share contacts. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. Not all my female friends like going out with me because they feel I'll get more attention and I might take their men. Of course, I'm a hipsy girl. People hardly believe I don't cheat. Welcome to my world.
There it is, Black Steel. Do you
She's just
sympathize
kidding
with the
around.
plight of women?
She's not. She doesn't have a plight. She's humble. She's bragging low key. This girl doesn't have a height. I bet you money she wouldn't change her. She wouldn't swap places with no girl with a flat ass and an ugly face. She wouldn't change places for anything in the world. She's just bragging. You know what? I get it. I get it. She's if her phone was dry and dudes stopped paying her attention, she would probably, want to hang herself from a high tree. But no, I don't. There's no plight. She's just running her mouth. I honestly, I think this is attention. I've seen a couple of these skits going around where people say, "Of course I'm blank," and they say something stereotypical. So, I think it's what it is. There's no real plight. I guess if she's complaining about pretty privileges, oh, I'm pretty, oh, I have a big butt, men don't approach me and take me seriously. Like, what a problem to have, man. I mean, there's people in this world who don't have food to eat, who don't have legs, who are in prison for unjustly. It's not really anything to it. I don't really feel like it's no plot. I think she's just being, kind of like tongue in cheek. But yeah, I don't think she would trade places with anyone who's less attractive than she is at all. Anybody who didn't have the body she has, she wouldn't swap places with them. I'm sure she probably has a dude, who probably gives her money and treats her like a queen. We got some women. There's some real issues going on with our sisters. Real issues. Black women have an incredibly high maternal mortality rate. Violence against women. There's some real issues going on with our sisters. Having a pretty face and a nice shape ain't one of them. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Anyone wants to add any last thoughts to the prompt? And thanks for that, Black Steel.
I guess I agree with Black Steel. 99 pounds and the Nash ain't one, huh?
All right, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 tonight then. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, shout out to Marilyn Mosby, great Black woman, who stood up for Black Baltimore and now is being witch hunted. This came with a link. I believe it's to YouTube, I'm correct. So we'll watch the video. And on the other side of it, let me get... I don't know why. Okay. Got it.
Ms. Mosby, how do you feel about your testimony so far?
Grateful.
The jury heard Marilyn Mosby's side of the story on day 7 of her federal mortgage fraud trial. After taking the night to think about it, she took the stand just after 10 a.m. And during roughly 2 hours of direct testimony, she defended herself by blaming others. You put your trust in a number of people, didn't you? Her public defender, James Wida, asked. Yes, Mosby answered. Is one of those people your husband? Yes, she answered. Ex-husband Nick Mosby under the bus, along with her mortgage broker and her realtor. At the time, Wida asked, did you feel you had good reason to trust the people you did? Yes, Mosby answered. Sitting here today, do you think you have less trust because of that? Mosby answered, yes. Mosby said they're the reason she believed she didn't have tax debt and that she qualified for second home mortgages to purchase 2 Florida vacation properties, a home in Kissimmee in September 2020 and a Gulf Coast condo in February 2021. Mosby also told the jury she has a perjury conviction and absolutely intends to appeal it. Ms. Mosby, why are you testifying today? Her lawyer ended with. Mosby told the jury, because I regret not testifying before, and I want this jury to hear my truth. Just before 4 o'clock this afternoon, cross-examination got underway, and there was tension at times. Ms. Mosby, that got pretty heated. Marilyn Mosby told the jury, quote, I did know we had outstanding tax liability in 2020 when I signed the mortgage applications to purchase the home in Kissimmee, Florida. Cross-examination will continue when this trial resumes tomorrow morning. In Greenbelt, I'm Kate Amara, WBAL TV 11 News.
So for those who might not remember, if you remember back in, I want to say it was 2015. Yeah, like 2015, Freddie Gray, a resident of Baltimore, was thrown into a back of one of those sweeper type buses, police buses, and I guess they played that little game of stopping, breaking the vehicle hard and stuff, and had Freddie Gray, who was chained up, had him knocking about in the car, and I think he broke his neck and died. And Mosby was the district attorney or something like that at the time, and she, the state's attorney, and she went after the cops too. I think she got some of them hemmed up, if I'm not mistaken. And so it seems like this mortgage stuff that she got convicted on seems like this is kind of the witch hunt that they're engaging in behind her. So just to give a little background from my memory on it. With that said, Black Steel, what say you to Marilyn Mosby being witch hunted, seemingly witch hunted?
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Coco. That's definitely what this is. You know, when you go against the thin blue line, when you hold them accountable for their crimes, this is what happens. They go the police force, the institutions of law enforcement go after you. That much is pretty obvious. I see here that's kind of what's happened. This woman actually tried to do something good for the community. Um, they're convicting her on this mortgage fraud, whatever the crime is, and this is something I see happen with many black politicians when they try to do something to challenge the status quo or go against the powers that be. They stick their neck out and they get their heads chopped off. So I think this is a lesson that when you try to work within the system to change it, you just end up getting digested. You don't really make any change. You just, they break you down. Either you become one of them or they get rid of you. Another one, for example, here in Florida, the dude who tried to run against DeSantis, they tried to get him on some sort of corruption and fraud, and the case was dismissed. But when you're a black person working within these systems and these institutions of white domination, trying to make changes, you're going to have this type of problem, which is unfortunate. But I think she did the right thing as far as trying to get fed, trying to get justice for this young man. I don't think any of the cops were ever convicted, as far as I'm aware of. But I do understand that she was in her time. She did bring charges to these people. So I'm sad to hear what's going to happen to her, but I definitely understand, how white supremacy works. And I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Be careful saying white supremacy now. Oni, what say you about Marilyn Mosby here?
Yeah, I never really heard about her. I mean, from what I could get, she's she stood up for black folk, and then the city's coming after her. I mean, okay, and then so they set her up. That family set her up or some shit. Like her husband set her up. Is that what she was saying? I don't. I mean that's like that's what I would expect. Here in America, I would expect for the city. I mean, I a lot of times we see this countless times where white folk bring the hammer down, and this is why I tell people, when you're in a country where white folk can bring the hammer down, and they regularly bring the hammer down. It's not like, oh, okay, we did something to another country, blah, 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 blah. I'm talking about like this is white folks' home base, right? If you in a home base, like at some point you gotta, that's your choice. You know what I mean? They're gonna tell you to toe the line. And if you say, look, I'm not gonna toe the line, that's fine, but expect repercussions. That's the sad thing. That's why for me it's like, it's just repatriation. It's really just going back home. Because like for me, I can't tolerate them. You know what I mean? Like other people can tolerate them, so I get it. Like white folk, like a lot of people are like, hey, white folk not that bad. And if they are, a little bad on me, that's fine because I could at least, I know how to slip by. Okay. But me, I can't do it. So for me, it's all about being in Africa. That's it. Because if it's the case that you could be a successful lawyer, do your damn job correctly, the city is wrong in how they killed that black boy. If notwithstanding that, they still going to come after you do the right thing. That's just not a country that I could. That's not a space that I could be in. And I feel like black people should look at this in that way, you know. They should look at it in that way. I mean, because here you got, you know, they showed a husband. It looked like her husband was a black man. So you mean to tell me that your husband set you up? You know, like that's just unreal. Your husband sets you up. Like I don't know if people because and apparently her husband for years. Like you said that you know she did this from 2015. She might have been married before that, and the husband was you know delinquent in 2020 and still was like, hey, sign these papers, type shit. Uh, you know that's some old like if this is a setup, and I'm not saying it's a setup. I'm just saying if this is a setup and you got set up by your own husband, the guy you sleep with at night, the man who rubs your back or you know the man you cook for, the man you order with, the man you watch Netflix with, you know all that shit. If your husband could turn against you, right? There's no reason to be in that space. You are in a compromised situation. I don't know if she has kids, but just imagine you have kids with a man and he still turns on you. Like no loyalty to the race, no loyalty to you, to the family. That's some devastating. I just couldn't.
All right, I
See,
guess on his end his pod, Buono would say.
yeah, so she is being witch hunted, absolutely witch hunted, and there are repercussions for the so-called idea of standing up, black community, and I'm asking myself, where's the black community in all of this? Because when there are cries for justice, no peace. Black men need to stand up and support and all these other kinds of things. Well, here's a lady, she did stand up. She did stand up and she tried to prosecute the people who actually murdered Freddie Gray. So now the United States government chooses to witch hunt her. Now, regardless of the fact that you had turncoats, you're always gonna have betrayers within the community. People who go backstab you, always gonna have them. That they always gonna exist. My thing is, where is the follow through with our community in protecting her and ensuring that their voices should just be as loud for her as she was loud for them at the time. She was trying to get justice on behalf of Freddie Gray in indicting them police officers. Where are the big audience of people who were saying, "Oh, we need to support this and we need this"? Where are they? I hear a lot of talking and moral finger waving, but I'm saying that where is the follow through? Where's the follow through? The brother who believed at the time that police officers were harming black men. I think his name is Micah Johnson. And he felt like, well, let me get my justice against these police officers. Because everybody at the time perceived that white men were indiscriminately harming black men. So now he is dead and murdered. Where is the community to jump on behalf of Micah Johnson? Are they supporting his moms? Did they have a big financial thing to help and make sure that she is financially secure, his children and things of that nature? Sometimes our community sometimes can be so hypocritical and contradictory because I'm asking, where is the follow through? Because she should just be she should have as large an audience in support of her as they will cry for justice, because the United States government, they have a long history. They go after people who they feel is going after them. So we are quiet now. Our community is quiet now because no follow through is there. Not only her, but other people who would have stood up, quote unquote, stood up. They want you to commit the act itself, but there's no follow through in terms of the after effect, the afters of what could happen, the result of. So you're watching her now, this witch hunt, and people are saying, well, if no one is going to support me after the fact, what is the point in doing it at all? What is the point in doing it at all? If they're so hypocritical, I'll just leave it alone. I just leave it alone. I just saying that shout out to Marilyn Mosley. She is a black sister. I believe that we should support as in a community. When the white police officer shot the brother in one of these states, he had financial support of the wazoo online. They ensured that financially he could go in a courtroom with the best lawyers. when it was said that I think I can't remember they was calling the black guy a thug at the time, who went into the store and took something out of there, and the police officer stopped him and ended up killing him. He was supported by his community financially, and he didn't even have to say anything. This lady, Marlon Mosley, stood up in her community. I'm saying, where's the follow through? Everybody want to get us to act. You know, it was emotive response. Emotive response. Where is the follow through? Where's the follow through in standing up for black women? Now is the time to do that. Now is the time to do that. Where's her audience and support? I wonder. Needless to say, you know, shout out to her for her efforts and what she will do. I know the United States government is going to come after her. Hopefully, she'll be successful and have enough money to defend herself. I don't even know if she had to have one of these monetary things where you support these people monetarily, or she even requested it. But my question is, where is the support as a community? Because she stood up. But I'll leave it there, Koku. I'll let you go, man.
You know, boy, and I'll be honest with you. You know, I was familiar with Marilyn Mosby because of the Freddie Gray situation, and she made a lot of news around that time when she went after those cops. But you know, to be honest with you, in this instance here, I didn't even know about this story. This was news to me. I had to look it up when I saw the prompt last week. So apparently, she had supporters in the courtroom. They packed the courtroom. They prayed, blah blah blah. But I think a part of it could be that, in terms of a national level, we didn't get the word about it. That's just my thinking, because I really didn't hear about her and this fraud thing. I don't know about the husband betraying her. I didn't pick up that tidbit, but it was said that the husband in the trial had said something on her behalf, like it was an unfair thing, and the judge struck it from the record. Right? The husband was saying it was unfair that they're going after her, and apparently the judge struck it from the record, and the jurors or whoever weren't supposed to consider his statements. They did divorce. They do have children, and they did divorce last year, I guess, after she got convicted. So for a second time. So that's all I had known about it, and what I saw when I looked it up. So I believe, you know, like Oni said, he didn't even know who it was. So I don't know if a lot of us got the news on this. Now in the chat, we had Arzuli, who was implying it wasn't a witch hunt. She committed fraud, and etc. So Azuli came up. I asked him to come up. Azuli's here. Azuli, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm fine. What's going on?
Good. So Azuli, you were familiar with the case?
No, I'm not. And that's the first time I'm hearing this, to be honest. And I don't know anything. I didn't know anything about that. My thing is, I don't know how is this a witch hunt. You committed the fraud. So if you're going after the blue wall, like Black Steel said, why is your background not squeaky clean? If you're gonna stand up against certain part of the government or whatever, why is your background not clean? Like, we, as a black community, we need to stop freaking. Oh, it's a witch hunt. She committed fraud. She was doing that probably prior to that case. So now, if you're doing this and you know you're gonna go after, and I don't know if she went after them personally or if that's what the DA wanted or whatever. Picked up the case, went after the guys, Freddie. But my girl, why are you doing this in the background? So you're gonna attack one of their people? You don't think they're gonna go fishing in your background? Just like the same thing with the lady that was trying to persecute Trump. Yo, you going after certain people, but your shit is not clean? And then not, and this is the thing I see. Oh, support her for what? If it wasn't her that was the DA, another person would have prosecuted those police officers. She don't get any kudos for them telling her what to do with her job. So now we're defending this lady because she went after the cop. That was a job. And then it's a witch hunt because she's a black. Yeah, can we stop? It's a witch hunt. The lady committed fraud. It's a witch hunt. So I don't know.
Allegedly.
Can I respond? Can I respond?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I'm
Juan. You
not
get
even
it. I was about
done.
to say something. Oh
I'm
God.
not
Go
even,
ahead.
Sorry,
Can't say
Zuli.
much
Go ahead,
more.
brother. Go ahead. Finish, brother. Go ahead.
I'm saying whether it's a witch hunt or not, why do you put yourself in this predicament? It's just like I forgot we were talking about a couple of things. There was this politician. He's trying to be he's doing this and that and the third, but his background is not clean. If you're gonna if we're gonna give her the credit, like, oh yeah, she chose on herself to go after those police officers, cool. So what did you think was gonna happen when you did that? You don't think they was gonna sniff around to make sure everything that you did, you should have dotted your eye? No, because all these people are technically all on that greedy shit. Oh, I want to have big houses, big this, big that, so I could look good. There you go. But now we on here talking about, oh, she's being witch hunted. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe if it was one of their peoples, maybe they wouldn't go after her giving, because I just saw something that she might get 40 years. Maybe they won't go for that. Maybe she'll probably get 2 to 5. I don't know. But if you're going after somebody, if you're gonna throw a rock at the throne and you're not squeaky clean, it's gonna be easy for them to do that to you. That's all.
So
Okay.
before Black Steel and Buana go, let me just quickly say that two things can be true here. It can be that she went after the cops because she believed in that. She believed in justice for Freddie Gray. And it could also be true that she might not have been doing things above board. Maybe that's true. I don't know, right? I don't know the details of that case. But because she did what she did with the Freddie Gray thing, it could very well be a witch hunt. Um, and maybe they uncovered some discrepancies or something and blew it up. I don't know. But I think that the possibility of it being a witch hunt is valid. And it's something that we should take note of, like Oni said earlier, that when you throw the stone out here, this fucking white boy has the ability to come and still hem you up afterwards. And by the way, that's what I've been saying on Shoot the Breeze for the longest time. And a lot of you guys push back against it and talk a bunch of shit. Then you come right back and say, yeah, they can enact, they can sabotage you, they can railroad you, they can witch hunt you, all that kind of stuff. So I will say to Zuli's point that it is possible, Zuli, that this is a witch hunt. Now the other stuff, I don't know if she did wrongdoings or not. I can't say, but if she was doing wrongdoing, and I'm speaking hypothetically, if she was doing wrongdoings, like you said, she should have crossed her T's and dotted her I's. Let's hear from Buana, then Black Steel.
Yeah. So one of the things I would want to say is, do you have to be squeaky clean to say that something is wrong? Do you have to be squeaky clean to fight for justice in the United States? When the person who is accusing you, and so they say in the courtroom, they say that who comes before the court has to come with clean hands. Okay, so if the person who is accusing you don't have clean hands and you have clean hands, it shouldn't be a court case. But I'm asking whether if a person doesn't have clean hands, um, whether they could say or want justice for a particular thing. Like if a female who's a prostitute, I'm gonna use an example by the way, and this may be gaudy, but a female who's a prostitute, let's just say she is raped by her John on the street, right? She great by her John on the street. Should she be able to go to the police and say, this person raped me? Or because she was in the engaging in prostitution, she shouldn't have nothing to say because these are the things that come with being a prostitute in the street. I don't think so. I think that they can be violated, and two, like as only Bitter Mad was saying, two things could be right at the same time. But let me also read exactly what she was convicted of. She was convicted of one count of making a false statement on a mortgage application. In a split verdict, by the way. That's what she was convicted of. Well, she ain't convicted. She got.
Nah, bro. Stop. That's not what it
So,
is.
but this is really
A,
I never interrupt
a
you.
former top
It's really I
prosecutor
interrupt
for
you
the
one time,
city.
bro. I interrupt you one time, brother. I stop myself. I stop myself. So I'm saying that two things can be right at the same time. And also, let me say this. Let me say this. Is there a possibility that people tell lies on you and you could be convicted of these lies? Does the United States have a history of doing that? Does the United States government has a history of contriving things that may not necessarily be true? Marcus Garvey was convicted of fraud as well. Let me just put that out there. Marcus Garvey was convicted of fraud as well. Was he trying to commit fraudulent actions? Did he commit fraud? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, this is the reason why they're trying to get a pardon against him right now. The U.S. government hands ain't so clean, brother. Sometimes it can be extremely dirty in the terms of the accusations. And they can be very intentional in doing what they do because they try to go after the people who they perceive as going after them. I'm telling you, brother, you know what I mean? Like I say, I understand how it looks on the face of it, that she committed an act and all these other kinds of things like that, brother. But sometimes it don't go so. This is why they go to court and people lie in courtrooms. Not only that, some people are wrongly convicted of crimes. Is it this particular sister? I don't know that. I'm just saying that these things happen and these are historical things that would have happened in terms of what happened in your country called the United States of America. And you know that. So let's don't exclude this reality and take it out of the context of this lady and what she did when Freddie Gray was doing what he was doing. And people don't seek to come after, just the same way they try to go after Fannie, the sister in Atlanta, Fannie, I forget what her last name is right now. They're saying what they're saying against her. She went against Trump, and Trump in turn going against her. But what you have to say about it, you should make sure you ain't doing certain things untoward. But even if she wasn't doing things untoward, that does not take off the table that people lie, create things, and contrive things. Brother, billionaires play that way. Men with power, they play that on that level. Even if you ain't do nothing, they gonna pin something on you. That is possible, brother. Don't take that off the table when you deal with powerful men. I'm just saying. I'll leave it there and let Black Steel go.
All right. So as everybody was talking, I'm doing a little research on this lady. I was familiar with Miss Mosley before. One thing I would say, she had a busload of supporters who came for her. So I mean, there actually were several people who showed up to the trial. So she did have support. Now, Black people are just not going to support financially the way white people support. We don't have the money, but there were many supporters out there for her. Second thing I want to say, these crackers lie like they breathe. So when this Black woman, who not only did she help get Fred, she tried to convict the people who helped murder this Black man. She also reduced the times and sentences for marijuana in Baltimore, which led to less Black people being locked up for nonviolent crimes, which is a good thing. She also prosecuted several other police officers for their abuse and violence against Black people. So this is, now that I'm seeing the whole picture, it makes sense they came after her. So what she's accused of, using the PPP loan during the COVID pandemic, which they forgave 80% of them. This woman didn't do anything that these crackers haven't done all the time. So to say, oh, she committed fraud, like it's just a matter of fact, I'm sorry. Do you know what country you live in? To Buana's point, they convicted Marcus Garvey of fraud. They said Dr. King was a goddamn adulterer. They said all type of negative stuff about Black people that they don't like. I'm not gonna just believe the word of some cracker against a Black woman who was literally out here trying to help Black people. That's ridiculous to me. Let's not take what these crackers say at face value. All right, we're not doing that. So yeah, she was charged with whatever bullshit. But yeah, she has a history of doing things to help Black people. There was a young man who was convicted of murder. He found, that there was police misconduct in the case. She brought it to trial and helped get this man free from prison. Cops don't like that shit. They don't like the fact when they can't brutalize and mistreat Black people with impunity. So yeah, she had a target on her back. So yeah, I'm not gonna believe what the cops say just because they say it. I'm sorry, the police, they lie too much. I'm sorry, we not take what these crackers say at face value. I'm not doing that. So yeah, but yeah, she did have support for the community. Maybe not as much as because we're not in Baltimore. I know I'm not in Baltimore. I think this case could have been made more aware. But yeah, I'm not gonna believe what the fuck they say, just because they say, especially the Baltimore PD. Did anybody watch The Wire? I know you saw that show. That was hello. I'll leave it there.
First of all, this lady, a former top prosecutor. First of all, let's stop acting like she chose to prosecute those officers. She was told to do that, just like she would have been told to prosecute a Black man that didn't do shit or a Black woman that didn't do. That was her job. They told her to prosecute that. That was part of her job. And number two,
But how do we know
Shorty,
that, though?
How many times do cops get prosecuted for killing Black people? That doesn't happen. That literally doesn't happen. That is special. They don't do that.
What do you mean? They choose Black people, Black women to prosecute. That's a political move. They use her. See, this is the problem. Y'all want to pick and choose. Shorty worked for for Maryland. She was not the head honcho. She was told to. She's a prosecutor. They prosecute.
I don't know if you're aware how prosecutors have the option to choose which cases they take and which cases they don't. I don't know.
Absolutely.
All right, now, yeah. Now she could choose. Okay, whatever.
They've always been able to choose. That's why so many cops kill Black people and don't face punishment because they choose not to prosecute.
That is not true. That is you saying that she could have denied it?
Yes, it happens all the time.
Not only that, but she's an elected official, and she could have very well chose it to help her re-election in that position as well. So she could have really genuinely wanted to pursue those cause. And the other lady was Fannie Lou Wilson, is it? But go ahead with it.
A former top prosecutor of the city of Baltimore was convicted on Thursday of charges that she lied about the finances of a side business to improperly access retirement funds of people of Baltimore, using the money to buy 2 Florida homes. So they just made that shit up to go after her. So
they said I'm okay
people have been working. People have been working hard to try to retire. She accessed that money and put it down on 2 homes in Florida. And they said she lied about it.
Was it
so
her retirement funds? Could it be her personal retirement funds?
They didn't say. So now you're making up shit. They didn't say.
I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question.
Did I read her personal? I said access of retirement funds.
To a retirement fund, but are they her retirement funds?
Why would they give you access to your own retirement fund?
Because it's her retirement. She paying into it.
This is what I'm saying. Why would they prosecute her for that?
Because she's Black. What the fuck?
No, see, that's what I'm talking about. Look at this shit. Because she's Black. That's some liberal, leftist.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This shit y'all doing. And all I'm saying is, if you're gonna go against, if y'all saying what she's saying that she chose to prosecute the fairly great, she did all that great. But if you're gonna do that, mama, your background better be squeaky clean. Because anything you have in your background, they're gonna come after you. That's what I'm saying.
Be fucking for real, okay? Be fucking for real.
So I would like to know what my Haitian sister at Harvard did in terms of why they went after her. because she seems to have done everything right, to be honest with you. And they say that she's a plagiarist, which is a whole other matter. But I really would like to know what my Haitian sister did at Harvard to get the backlash that she did, even though they call her plagiarist or whatever. That's a whole other matter. But I really would like to know what she gonna do. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. But like I say, I know that the United States government, they are willful and they tell absolute lies on individuals. And sometimes some things may appear to be a particular thing, but maybe it's the responsibility of all of us to go through the facts of this case rather than just using the newspaper reports and how things are reported. Because how things are reported may not necessarily be how the actual facts of the case were. You know what I mean? And listen, man, let me tell you what jury is. Some of these people on juries, they're drunks, they're alcoholics, they're pederasts, they're all manner of different things. Some of them are very extremely ignorant. Just because what I would say is I would just hold my judgment because I do need to read more about the facts of the case. And Arzuli is right in that regards. I need to go into the details of what specifically happened to address this issue. All I really see on the face of it is this particular sister and what she would have done prior to, and what is the result of that. And I also see it in the Fani sister case with Donald Trump, and I also see it in another particular prosecution of a black female. But what's this? Who's the mayor of New York City who just lost? She lost just a big. He just lost a big case. White guy. He was the mayor of New York at 9/11. What's his name now? Your brothers know who he is. Giuliani just lost a case for millions and millions of dollars for two black women who prosecuted him, who basically they said that he was slandering their name, defamation lawsuit. He was slandering their name, and he lost a multi-million-dollar case. I would really like, because I know he's gonna go after them, and because the case was decided against him. But like I say, these people bring down the government of the United States against you because they have the power to do it. Now, are these people perfect victims? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Everybody has certain things in their closet they wish not to necessarily reveal to the general public. But I'm telling you, Urzuli, you may not think so. You may not think so, but the United States government have a tradition of going after people who they believe are a threat, and they make up and contrive many different things sometimes against not so innocent people. And they do lie as well. I want you to put that in your pipe as well. The United States government lies from time to time, bro. Even though you may not think so. You know what I mean?
If that's the case, they come after you. Yes, that's the case. Why are you making it easy for them to come after you?
Nobody's a perfect victim. Sorry, Blackfield. Nobody's a perfect victim.
Yeah, I just want to defend black bullshit. Yeah, I want to defend black bullshit because he's a black woman.
I ain't trying to do that. Really, if I dig enough deep into your history, I could find one particular thing and pick it out what you would have done and say you can't be a victim because Arzuli smoked a blunt when he was 15 in high school.
I want to read something. I want to read something really quickly. Hold on. According to the evidence presented at trial in February 2021, Mosby made a false statement in an application for a $428,400 mortgage to purchase a condominium in Longboat Key, Florida. As part of the application, Mosley falsely stated she had received a $5,000 gift from her husband to be applied to the purchase of the property. According to the evidence presented at trial, Mosby made this statement in order to secure a lower interest rate. According to the evidence presented at trial, Mosley did not receive a $5,000 gift from her husband, but rather transferred $5,000 to him, and then he transferred $5,000 back to her. She faced a maximum of 30 years in federal prison for making a false mortgage application. Be fucking for real, y'all. Okay. He gave his wife $5,000. Oh, you lie on the mortgage application? Come on. Let's be serious. Come on. That's what they're trying to convict her of. It's a witch hunt, man.
I think they're still looking for weapons of mass destruction overseas, by the way. Is any last words wanted on this prompt here? Okay.
It was a good.
F5,
It was a
let's
good
go to Shay.
conversation. It was a good conversation.
Well, I was gonna say 30 years for that is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. 30 years for that is wild. Or 40 yet. It's either 30 or 40. So that's wild. Should be sub number 3 tonight. By the way, if you're out there listening, hit the like button, share on your social media as well. Should be topic number 3 says, question, Black excellence. Let's see what this takes us to. This is going to take us to Twitter. And we see a tweet here from Isaac Barnes, at Isaac M. Barnes. He says, dreams come true. And there's this picture here that says, it's from a June 16th, 2022 article. It says 39-year-old Black entrepreneur makes history, awarded $13.4 billion defense contract. It says, meet Isaac Barnes, the young founder and president of Eminent Future, whose Black-owned tech firm has been awarded $13.4 billion defense contract with the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Space Force. Isaac is a marvel reminiscent of young Black leaders transcending generations of relevant and personable individuals who have made such an extraordinary mark in history. This is not a thread. So 39-year-old Black man, entrepreneur, makes history, awarded $13.4 billion defense contract. So I guess the idea is, what do you think? That defense, quote unquote, is going to be, or who do you think that defense is going to be used on? Azuli, what say you to this?
I'm not saying anything. What can I say? The Black excellence. Yeah, $14 billion. Go buy you a Lamborghini. Go buy you a big house. Do your thing. That's the individual success that Black people are capable of doing. So what I'm going to say, it's going to affect Africa. It's going to affect the Caribbean. So nobody cares. People won't care about that. That's Black excellence. So what is going to affect Black Africa? So why it's going to affect the Caribbean? So why it's going to affect third world countries? He's thriving. Much shout out to my man, Black Bonds. I guess Isaac Bonds. Do your thing. I have nothing to say, but hey, go ahead. That's all.
Appreciate that, Azuli. I do agree with some of what you said, to be sure. Trigger thinks we did this before. I didn't remember us doing it before, this topic before. But in any event, it's here now. Let's we have a few different people. I don't think Azuli saw it before. Black Steel, do you remember us discussing this?
I think I might have been asked that day. But yeah, this whole idea of Black excellence is going to be the death of us all. I got to keep it a buck. This is going to be the death of us all. What does Black excellence mean when in a system ran by white psychopaths? I don't want to say white supremacists. I don't want to summon that genie. But what does Black excellence mean in a world controlled by white psychopaths? Why is it that a Black person got afforded this $1 billion contract from the Air Force, which is going to be used to oppress Black and brown people across the globe? Why is it that Black genius is always being used to further white domination of the planet? I think we really have to ask ourselves this question. What does it mean? They did the movie about Hidden Figures, about those Black women helping white people in the space program in NASA, only for them to turn around and use surveillance from space, to use spaceborne weapons to literally bring the Earth to the brink of destruction. We got to really question why is it that Black genius and Black ability only serves to further white domination of the planet? And I remember something Amos Wilson said: in order for a minority to dominate a majority, that majority of people must be out of their minds. And I really think that's something we really need to question. we are oriented towards improving white supremacy, and it's really crazy. I always remember something Kwame Ture said, talked about Benjamin Banneker, the black man who helped design Washington D.C. And he said, here it is, your people are in slavery, and here you are helping the white man build a stronger country. What kind of fool are you? We don't think about these concepts in our minds to where we look at this black man, he's helping, create weapons for the Pentagon. Why? Why? So they can help commit genocide? They can eliminate and control more people's resources. They can build more bases on the African continent. Why is this a win for us? The fact that we can just consider, oh, he got the bag as a win for black people, and that is a loss for us. And I think until we really, really sit down and consider this, we're going to continue to keep losing like this. I'll pass the mic. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. It kind of reminds me of this. There was a time when the matron, myself, Oni, and Webb were doing these spaces on Twitter, and we had this. I had a space one night, and there was a black guy who kind of highlighted that fact about, there's usually a black guy who goes in and brokers these deals, these bad deals for Africans on the continent and stuff like that. That stuck with me that night. And I think there's a little bit of that, I think there's a lot of that going on here too.
Coach, the black woman who does the for the press council, the Haitian woman. Yeah, that's a good example of that. Whenever there's some bad fucking news, they got her ass up there. Like, does she not see the? I'm sure she's probably paid very well for her position, but they always want to put black people as the face of white domination. I guess to make it more inclusive. Black Lives Matter. I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're trained to look at. Oh, they're winning. This is why I hear folks giving this stuff a pass too. When you talk about the drug dealers and stuff in the community, there's people who would say, well, they getting it how they live or some shit like that, or if it wasn't them, someone else would do it. And I'm like, why are we so set to celebrate like negativity because it has a price tag on it all the time? I have a problem with that. So a lot of us will see this as black excellence. Wow, black guy in defense, and his country is making, his company is making, $13 billion. Wow. But what is he doing? What is his company really supporting here? Let me hear from Buana next.
Yeah, so this guy works for NASA or whatever, and he exemplifies this idea of black excellence. So I'm asking the brothers, have you all ever heard something called the National Space Research and Development Agency? Have you all ever heard of that word before? You all ever heard of that? In Nigeria, the Nigerians also have a space program. They also have a space program. Very little people know about it for some reason. Started by Obasanjo. Obasanjo was the president of Nigeria, and they are sending satellites into space. Been sending satellites into space since I think like 2003. They've been sending satellites into space. Exemplifying this idea of black excellence. I think that our agency have maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 people employed in terms of this whole idea of black excellence. Very little people know about this agency. Very little people for some strange reason. Not only black people in the West can engage in this idea of black excellence, but you could take your black excellence and put it into something that may be beneficial for black people rather than against the interests of black people. I think that we get caught up in so-called travel documents, because that's what I call these passports. Travel documents. Take some of that genius and invest it into spaces where it won't mal affect black folks, rather than in places where it will ill affect black people, in a horrible way, because like we say, they're going to use whatever technology he has in the so-called space race to mal affect black people, you could use that same what's the thing name? Hidden figures or hidden people who was these genius black women who was working for NASA or the interest in NASA. I'm thinking to myself, maybe if you petition African governments about the ideas that you have in your mind collectively and say, we can do this for you and forward and advance technologically your country, but you have to be willing to do this. We set these conditions and we would like these things as far as us getting recompense or us be financially being reciprocated in terms of what we can bring to your country. Because obviously these people are going to use his wherewithal, his mind, his intelligence really to oppress a bunch of for this one individual who have this $1 billion contract, he got repress another billion people who look just like him. Imagine that. And they put it on like as a shining example of black excellence. But they ain't gonna put it as what his technology is gonna do is gonna be a shining example of black oppression and abuse from around the world. But I'm saying if you could do that with with the white country that's used this, why not offer it to the Nigerians? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's the black excellence. You only excellent when you're doing things in that interest, but not doing things in the interest of yourself, or people who look just like you. Because ultimately, they want to be the controllers of the universe. And if they could use you to do that, they will. Why not? Why not? Let's use your big black brain, intelligent brain, to make these weapons to oppress everyone else on the planet. And they can give you a nice little house, a nice little car, and a nice little white-looking girlfriend. Of course, we give you all of these things. So I say, why not give it to the Nigerians? Why not give it to other people in Africa who may do it into the interest of themselves? People who look just like me and you on the planet. Maybe they be, I don't know. And this is how you negotiate bargaining chips and bargaining power. Because if you have the ability to do these things, you become very important to certain governments. Matter of fact, very dangerous to others. So now you have real bargaining power. But it's what people decide to do with themselves, and put up, to make observations. But us who living in the West, us dumb Negroes, to say, well, look at him, we could be just like him. I don't know, but I'll leave it there. I'll leave it.
And I think that's a part of that rugged individualism that the matron would usually talk about too. It's real strange stuff. But black excellence, question mark. Oni, what say you to all of it?
Yeah, well, this is the thing that a lot of us don't really take into consideration. One, America is the quote unquote black Americans country, right? And two, a lot of people are going to be loyal to their countries. A lot of people are going to be loyal to their countries. So, even if there was a better deal, it's very unlikely that a black American would want to, this black American in particular would want to travel to, an African country and help them or whatever, right? This man, I think he says this is a dream. It's like a life dream. He was young, dreaming about, bombing third world countries or something. That's the unfortunate reality that we live in. A lot of times we want to give other people a pass, or we want to say, hey, we're all victims and, blah, 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 blah. But you got to realize that even if a great number of people are victims, right, there are some people who want what America wants. There are some people who want to be great in America. And we've seen it time and time again. We looked at that video of that judge, the Supreme Court justice, and how he was like, I don't even agree with the civil rights movement. I would rather be a white man. We see just countless examples. I don't know, like the other Supreme Court justice. We see the police chief. We see this. We see that. There are people who are just not friends of black people. In fact, I remember somebody said this. They said, in order to become an entertainer, like one of those popular entertainers, people look into your background. Kind of like what Zuli was saying about You should have a squeaky clean background. Some people know that your background is dirty. They know that Jay-Z shot his brother over, some theft or some shit. They know this stuff. The whole idea of, hey, look, they went after Cosby. That was a witch hunt, blah, blah, blah. Cosby had some higher ambition. Possibly. Right? But the other part is that they knew Cosby was drugging women and sleeping with them. They knew it. They know to promote. They know who to select among your people. Because a lot of you people are really good. A lot of people are really good. Really good people. And a lot of people are really bad. And they say, hey, look, you're a bad person. We could use you. One thing we don't recognize. I want to show you this. Really important thing. You go to high school, right? You give a child an essay. You give them an article. You say, read this article, and then write an essay. And then that child will write an essay. But that essay is going to be radically different from the other essays in the classroom. And some of the essays are going to be like, hey, America's the greatest damn country. And I'm so glad to be here, and I can't wait, so on and so forth. I'm not going to say they passed that information along, but you understand? Because some kids are just writing an essay. I really read the story, I don't really think war is kind of bad, but blah, blah, blah. And some kids are like, hey, war is fucking necessary. And again, I can't say, what I can tell you is this. When I was in high school, I was writing some good, thoughtful essays. You know what they gave me? For some reason, they invented an award in order to give me a W.B. Du Bois biography. It's like the history department, special, blah, blah, blah. They invented an award to give me the biography of W.B. Du Bois. Why? They don't want you thinking like a Garveyite. That's why. We give our kids over to them, and of course, like I said, they're in America. What else are they going to be loyal to? You're in America, and you're loyal to Nigeria? Don't make no damn sense. You're in America, you're loyal to Senegal? Why? But the thing is that they could see that you have some sort of potential, so they put you through, let's say, 20 years of education, 20 years of miseducation. Then you get out of there saying, hey, because don't forget, you spend elementary school putting your hand up on your chest, talking about I pledge allegiance to the flag for 3 years, 4 years. Right? You graduate, completely loyal to this country. Why not? What other country would be loyal to? Right? And then they say, hey, look, you still, despite the fact that we told you we enslaved your ancestors, despite the fact that, everybody's shouting about this and that sort of forth, despite the fact that you don't got no damn civil rights, you still love this country? You're like, yeah, absolutely. It's the best damn country on the planet. Okay, we could use you. And that's what it is time and time again. We look at people like Redhead, I don't know her name. The woman who shakes her ass, the flat ass, whatever, right? That woman, right? You look at her, you think these white folk don't interview her and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this, so on and so forth, and realize she's brain fucking dead, and say, okay, we could use you. What do you think about having a party at blah, blah, blah? I think I should shake my ass. Oh, okay, really? What do you think about the bombing of Palestine? I think I should shake my ass. Okay, we could use you.
Yeah, but I'm sorry for interrupting, brother. I'm sorry. I really apologize for it. But Oni, if your loyalty is killing you, right? And you have decided, well, okay, as long as I have these travel documents, I'm okay with death. Because that's what your loyalty is. It's almost like an abused woman who continues to live in a house with her husband. And he's abusing. One day he will kill you, but he abuses you every day, right? And he said, well, I'm married. I can't go nowhere. Where else can I go? I understand the mental psychology, the pathology that goes into that. But ultimately, that loyalty will lead to. The Germans used to make fun of the black soldiers in World War II. They say that after this war is over, because they used to be in, prisoners of war. They used to tease the black soldiers, like, after this war is over, I'm gonna come to America to be your boss. And that's exactly what in fact happened. So I'm saying to myself, if your loyalty is gonna eventually cause your demise, Why continue to stay loyal? I do not understand that equation. There are other places, there are other situations, possible situations. Maybe it's imagination. Maybe it's imagination because there are other opportunities that exist in the world that will give you a softer landing than what you have been exposed to for 400 years. Why not take the opportunity or even the chance of experience something where will provide you with a softer landing? Why continue to exist in the place of an abuser who will eventually kill you? I don't. I may, Black Steel, maybe you could tell me better, man. Make me understand. Black Steel is in America. We all of us are a bunch of feathers. Black Steel, understand it true and true. Make me understand that, Black Steel, please.
Wait, hold
Well,
on.
the best way I can describe it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me just finish. Let me just finish. Because I don't know what that was about. But yeah, I mean, look, that question is kind of valid, but also invalid. You know, you are a 35. No, you're a 23-year-old brilliant black man, right? You have actually way more opportunities than a 25-year-old black man who's not brilliant. Okay. There's a big difference. Like I can tell you guys, if I said, you know what, fuck politics, right? If I just stayed in school, I would just go. I would have a pretty cozy professorship, pretty damn cozy professorship. I mean, it's not even that hard. And you might say, well, yeah, but they're still, yeah, but you got to realize that if you really look at the statistics, for instance, they say most of the people inside the prison industrial complex, most of the black people being arrested and, time, whatever, most of those people are from the same neighborhood, like from the same three, like let's say in New York, they're from the same three neighborhoods. And people outside those neighborhoods are not in that police state. So if you're a black youth in, let's say, Brownsville, right? Yeah, you're in a police state. Yeah, the police are going to stop you every freaking step that you take, so on and so forth, right? Yeah, you get searched, stop and frisked daily, right? If you're a black person in, I don't know, Bensonhurst, right? Definitely a different area, right? You're not in a police state. You're not some black people, like for instance, me, right? I maybe even Koku, maybe even Azuli. We don't even get stop and frisked. Police don't even like look at us. Never in our lives. Whereas another black youth, and it could even be a Latino youth, another black youth is going to be stopped and frisked on a daily basis, right? So this guy is saying to himself, look, I can be an asset to the United States, and it's true. You can't get out of line. You got to toe the line. You got to so on and so forth. But if you, but still, like, what the fuck? Right. But if you say to yourself, I accept these terms, right? This white boy is going to give you a cozy $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million, $10 million, $100 million, and you'll be good for yourself. Now, I'm not saying that's what I want to do. I'm just answering the question of why would somebody not why would somebody take this road instead of, say, going to a random African country and hoping to get into their the top secret military. Like, yeah, okay, it's a little unrealistic, but all right, that's all I can say.
All right.
So I would say, I'm sorry, I want to answer his question.
Go ahead.
So I would say this: we have to understand that America has probably the most sophisticated propaganda system in the world. It's really nothing like it. Most Americans, and Black Americans are not exempt from this, but most Americans truly believe that this is the freest country on earth. To other countries around the world, they hate us because we're free. They really do believe that in their mind, that they really spread this information that, oh, look at black people are just so free in America. And this just, now I would say the masses of people, black people, we just live here, to be honest with you. Most of us just live in this country. We're not, overly patriotic. We're not trying to be all, we love Uncle Sam and all the other bullshit. We understand that we live in a racist ass, white supremacist dominated system that's would kill us if we get out of line. This is the reality. Many of us don't have the means or the method to get the hell out of here if we wanted to. is something that's difficult. But I would say this, that understand that it's America is often like you minute you're born, the day you die, you get hit with a steady diet of America is beautiful, America is great. It's not surprising that as many black people fall for it as they do. In fact, I'm surprised that more of us don't, because there's a lot of us who don't fall for the bullshit. But yeah, this is just really just a steady diet of American propaganda. And here's the thing, it's not just in America. A lot of people overseas, because one of America's biggest exports is media. A lot of
Yes,
people,
sir.
they
Yes,
see,
sir. Yes,
oh, what's
sir.
going on in the US. Oh, these people live nice lives, they live great lives. I was there. One of my ex-girlfriends, she's from New Jersey. She moved here. She moved down here to Florida.
Don't
She
get in
said
trouble. Don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble.
she said she had never seen poor white people before. She really believed the white people she grew up around had money. White people she grew up, she saw on TV had money. In her mind, she didn't know there was poor white trash. I grew up with white people in trailer parks. I grew up with white people missing teeth, missing limbs because they had diabetes. That is white America. But you don't see it. If you cut on the TV, you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see Billy Bob and Jeannie Mae and all those other poor white trash living in their trailers and dying off of opioids and methamphetamines. But that is the reality for most white people in the United States. But yet, because of media, you don't see that. That's not the image it portrays. You don't see black people working 2 and 3 jobs to make it. Black people, living and doing the best they can. No, what is portrayed in the media is the gangbanger, the thug, the criminal, the baby mama. All that stuff is what you see in the media and television. So then, since that's one of America's biggest exports, they see that in the movies and TV show. They think that's the reality. So when we have these black people who are patriotic, who want to love their country, they've fallen for the bullshit, just like so many other people have fallen for the bullshit. And it really does take I would say this, for most of us, we don't fall for it. Most people, black people enjoy the military, they're trying to, pay for college. They're trying to see the world. They don't necessarily want to fight and die for this country, but they can't see another way out. And I think it's those of us who are conscious, those of us who are, who are intelligent, I think we have a responsibility to show other black people there's another way out. I think that those of us who have the intelligence, who have the will and the desire to see our people free, we have to really reach and educate them and let them know that there's more to this system than just giving in and working and trying to find your way in this godforsaken hellhole. I'll leave it there.
One of the things I'm gonna be very quick. One of the things, because what Black Steel said is very relevant, because I've been a victim of that, a complete victim of that, because I didn't, until I actually seen it for myself and traveling the world, I didn't know that white people was broke. I didn't know that shit. That's not been my reality. Because as Black Steve was saying, the only relationship I had with these people was television. And the same relationship I had with black people, by the way, international black people. Until I went to the United States and I actually see people on the street, white people on the street begging for like dog. That blew my mind. When I went to England, it was the same thing, because when I thought about the English people, I just think about the Queen and all that proper bullshit, until I see how white folks is living on the streets of the United Kingdom. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. The reality is far different from the propaganda. Also, the my dealings with African Americans is, it seems that they don't believe that they are loved globally. It's like they have no place. We are, what did they say? We have no friends. But internationally, I see they have more love than the Caribbean people do. Sometimes I have to scratch my head. You know what I mean? It's like they have so much currency in terms of the black world. I'm saying, in terms of the black world, they have so much currency. Why do they think that I'm talking to Black Steel directly. Why do they think that that's the only place that they would be received. They receive global. The black world receives the African American more so than they receive the Afro Caribbean person. They get loved universally because they make the loudest noise. So I'm saying to myself, why do they think that they have no friends around the world, Black Steel? Why is that? I answer that question. It's a question I have.
That's a good question. I don't know why we feel that way. I think, I feel like the ADOS and these foundational Black Americans have done a lot of harm. But I think they're really more online. I think I think it's ignorance, honestly. We don't really interact with a lot of people outside of our own sphere. But I think that, just to your point, historically, Black Americans have always been understood to go against the systems and institutions of white power in America. The Black Panthers, Dr. King, Malcolm X, Nation of Islam. Well, I think it was in when the back in Iran, when they took the Iranians, took the Americans hostage, and let all the Black people go. All the Black Americans, all right, you guys can go. We don't have any beef with you. But there was that one nigga, that one fucking dude decided to stay. That one Black dude decided to stay with the rest of the white hostages. He was the what's the name of the Black man who died in Boston? He was the Crispus Attucks of the group. The first person to die at the Boston Massacre. Black people was given a life for this country before it was even a country. And here we are still 200 something years later, still doing the same dumb shit. It really comes from ignorance, I think, Buana.
In the chat, there's been a couple of things. One of the things I would like you guys to briefly respond to, Trigger Happy 262 Plus says, it's definitely up to conscious Black people to lead the way and build political power for the masses of Black people. But what is the better option, Africa or America? The matron is out there. Shout out to the matron. Make sure to tune in to her show. I think it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, she put up a poll recently that I shared on my community tab. Make sure to give her a vote on that poll as well. She says assimilation and integration are death. We need to teach it that way. This quote-unquote Black excellence will have white grandchildren. Trigger Happy 262 says, that's the thing, Buana. Isn't this currency on the basis that Black people in America are Americans and that their culture has a bigger microphone because of America? First of all, Buana, if you want, you to respond to that, and then I have another Trigger Happy statement I'd like y'all to respond to.
No, I think that in terms of Trigger Happy, I think that the Black Americans do have a large microphone, and what they have been between the Muhammad Ali's of the world and the Malcolm X's of the world and many other Black leaders within the territories of America, they always express the love and respect that they have for the global world and the global community. They're intelligent among them. They're intelligent brothers and sisters. Black Steel is another one, and I think that the world has heard that. The world has heard that outside of what, because you talk about differentiate. Differentiate. That's the word that some quarters use. Delineating. With themselves as opposed to other groups of people. They have delineated themselves and say, yes, we live in a community where white men mistreat, abuse, etc., etc., etc. But we're not a part of that. As a matter of fact, we are victims of that. Muhammad Ali say, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me nigger. And he endeared himself with the rest of the world when he said that. And so we see that struggle, and we relate to that struggle, and we say, well, these are our brothers. They're just in a different scenario than we are. But these, no doubt about it, are our brothers. But now the conversation changed a little bit different, because now I hear some quarters, not all, some quarters saying, well, we are a part of empire. We go along with empire. Y'all tethers over there need to know your role, stay in your space, and don't say nothing when we are doing the empire thing with the rest of the world. Well, that's a new kind of messaging that's given to but I understand that it's only coming from certain quarters, because certainly my brothers like Black Seal don't believe these kinds of things. And even though he's a socialist man, me and him have more in common than the quarters of the brothers who saying, well, we belong to empire. We believe in what empire believe in. We going along with that nonsense. So this is what has endeared themselves to the rest of the world, to the rest of the world, you know. But I don't know, man. I'll just leave it, man. I'll leave it.
So I want you all to quickly respond to something Trigger said earlier. He said black people in America have to choose either the assimilation of America or pushback of that. It seems that these case studies show people are choosing former. I kind of know where Oni is going to respond, but he can respond too. But I'll be curious to hear what some of the rest of you think. Let's start with Zuli. Zuli, what's your comment to what Trigger Happy says here?
I don't think black people have the testicular fortitude to do any different. Everybody's going is trying to achieve the American dream, the picket fences, the 3 cars. Now people are trying to break the ceiling, driving Bugattis and trying to live up the life that they see on Instagram. So I don't think so. And the whole world is trying to achieve that American dream, to be exact. So black excellence, man. That's part of the black excellence. So what are we gonna say? He's wrong. He's this. I don't know, man. To be honest, not just him. It's everyone in the world. Caribbean people, when they come to America, they're trying to achieve the same goal. African people who live Nigeria or the Congo or South Africa to come to America, they want to do exactly what that young man just did. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Let me speak for myself. For to be a third world person, the goal that I am trying to achieve is not what the American dream is. It's a human dream. The dream of being able to live in a clean environment where I could provide for my children and my family, where I don't listen, I am that I could send my children to a school that would benefit them educationally, that I would be able to exchange my skill set, you know, where I could get enough money to provide these things for my children. I don't need the excesses. I don't have to live a Jay-Z lifestyle. I don't have to live a Jay-Z lifestyle to live a happy experience. I'm a Caribbean man. I could go listen to a reggae music and drink my colic with my woman in my hand and still live a happy existence. I ain't chasing the Jay-Z them dream. But I have to have the opportunity to do it. And governments, international governments, can't stifle the markets that I have in my country, murder my leaders, put their leaders in place where they take my natural resources and send to their countries where they can live opulent lives. And I have to live in life in destitution. Places like the third world countries. Haiti is a rich country, by the way. Haiti is a rich country. Internationally and internally has been destroyed. But that's a wealthy country with very intelligent people that live and exist in it. And but for not only internally it's been destroyed, but externally. And sometimes that's not talked about from time to time because Haiti was once the pearl of the Caribbean. That's what they used to call it. They used to call Haiti the pearl of the Caribbean. That means they had enough resources to send back to France. And enrich France, where the French government is living how they're living right now. You're talking about global politics. I don't want to live an American dream. I'm a Bahamian man. Why would I want to live an American dream? I want to live a Bahamian dream in my country without having to have to pay. Today I pay for a chocolate bar. I pay $3.19, brother. $3.19 because the the oil in the world where to import that shit in here. I have to pay $3.19. No, I want to have a happy existence, a happy life, live my nice Bahamian lifestyle in my country. I don't want your American dream. Keep your American dream as long as I am able to do the things I need to do in this country or in a so-called other third world country. I don't mind living in a black country. I'm impressed about it. I don't want the Jay-Z lifestyle. I'm comfortable with my reggae lifestyle. You know what I mean? But don't come into my economy and oppress my economy and say, we will live like you. Leave me in my natural resources. allow me to barter my natural resources for a fair market price, global price, then I wouldn't have to come to your country looking for my markets back. These are the conversations that don't get had. I don't need to be extra right now. I'm drinking. I'm being extra. But I just wanted to just put that out there. I don't mean for talking loud, really. Forgive me.
No, I agree with you, Juana. And you know what? Trigger Happy is absolutely right. Black people do have to choose um, what side we're going to be on. And there was at one point in our history that it was evident that we were definitely not on the side of white global domination. In fact, there were, even during Vietnam, the Vietnam War, for example, black soldiers would often kill their commanding officers. They call it fragging. They were hesitant to give black soldiers weapons because they were afraid they would be turned against the white officers and the white soldiers. They would attack them with grenades. They would be accidents. It was the Viet Cong. It was their own soldiers, their own black soldiers who were being killed disproportionately in the war because they put them on the front line. So there was a time where black Americans understood that we needed to be on the right side of the barricades. All right. And I think that because of the propaganda has increased, the surveillance from the state has increased. I think Barack Obama has a lot to do with it as well, because for all of a sudden black people were in support of U.S. foreign intervention because it was a black man in charge. That's why it's so dangerous to put a black face on white power, which is what Obama was. But yeah, we do have to understand that we need to be on the right side of the barricade. History will judge us, and I think that the way they're going to judge us harshly if we don't understand that our sympathies lie not with white America, who is really the major source of terrorism in the world. They talk about Al Qaeda and Hamas and everything else, but it's the United States is really the biggest funder of terrorism globally. And it's all to secure U.S. hegemony over the world. Black Americans have to understand this, and we have to be in opposition. It's not enough to, I don't want to join the military, but I'm going to join because, my college gets paid for. We have to really be in opposition to this whole fucking shit. And what is the American dream? America's so goddamn arrogant. They think they have an American dream as opposed to just a dream for every human being to live safe, secure, and happy and provide for their loved ones. That America doesn't have a monopoly on that bullshit. Now, if the feds come and kick in my door, you guys know what it is. But America doesn't have a monopoly on that shit. We really got to start questioning this shit, because this American dream they speak of is built off the genocide of the native people of this continent and the enslavement of African people. And let's just keep it a buck. We got to stop taking advice from people who literally had to create laws to stop from working their own children, not our children, from their own children to death. These Americans don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't care. They're omnicidal, and they're the biggest threat to humanity that exists right now. Not Hamas, not goddamn climate change, but goddamn the United States and their omnicidal desire to dominate the world. That's the biggest threat. Climate change goes second.
Only you got the last word on the prompt.
Yeah. So, like you said, yeah. Again, it's not like that's why I said I go by probability. And it's really this: white folk don't need that many of us. Okay, white folk do not need that many of us. One Candace Owens is worth 2,000, I don't know, rebels or whatever. You know what I mean? They don't need a lot of us to rule us, to run us. That's how it's always been. You go back to colonization. They didn't need to miseducate every freaking African person. They just needed one. They just needed one kid to graduate from missionary school and then take up the little office that they require to run their corporations. That's it. White folk do not need us. In fact, if you look at the trends in technology, for a long time, people were saying white folk don't even need white folk. Like they were saying machines are going to replace humans. And the closer we get to what they call AGI, I think artificial general intelligence, I don't know. But the closer you get to, more efficient artificial intelligence and all that kind of stuff, the more human labor is going to be replaced, and nobody knows what that would entail for the white American. But it's already been the case for Black Americans that most of them are just an extraneous population, just an extra population. And I'm not saying this. Dr. King is saying this. Okay, Dr. King was telling us, hey, you know what? We need to get more skills because, unskilled labor is going out of the way. That job you have pushing elevator buttons, that's that you're not going to have that job anymore. And people were like, nah, man, it's always going to need somebody to push a button in an elevator. You ain't never seen like that. Like, if you go to the museum, you're going to see somebody. Like, literally, only if you go to the museum, you're going to see somebody pushing buttons for an elevator. My point is, a lot of Black, like, you don't need every Black American to choose one way or the other. But most are not. I would say most Black Americans do choose America. Let's just be honest. But you don't need a lot of Black Americans to choose America, right? You just need some of them to choose America. When they choose America, they're going like, and it becomes a question of why wouldn't they choose America? Why wouldn't they? I mean, people in other countries, I think it was Black Steel who said that America has, Black Steel said America has this advanced propaganda. They do. America has damn good propaganda. The president of Russia, Putin, in his interview with Tucker Carlson, pretty good interview, he says America got a damn good propaganda system. So if the president of the second biggest white country on the planet is saying, yo, I can't even come close to the level of propaganda that America has, why would you think Black Americans with no organization, very little wealth, very little, why would you think they could contest against America's propaganda machine? If Russia can't, how could Black Americans? That doesn't make any damn sense. But on that point, that same propaganda is pushing that kind of patriotism on Black Americans. I could say, for instance, my family would celebrate July 4th and misgivings. Okay, they're not even fucking like they were born in Jamaica. They're not even like I could be like, hey, maybe I could technically pass for American. They were born in Jamaica. Like they're not even they're celebrating waving the American fucking flag. Okay, so if the propaganda reached them and they was only exposed to it for how long, of course it's going to be on the Black American. It's honestly insane for us to think it wouldn't. And granted, I mean, of course people say, hey, they put up a good resistance. You could say that, right? But, you could say there were some people that did put up a good resistance. Absolutely. But the reality is what you see is a people, heavily under a system who everybody knows is not going to leave the system. And the reality is that there is that phrase, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, I'm not saying join them. Of course not. Me personally, I say, look, you can't beat them, beat it. You know what I'm saying? Like leave, right? But if you are saying, look, I can't leave, I got obligation, blah, blah, blah. If you can't leave, guess what? It's like what Matron said. You're just going to have white grandchildren. You're just going to be erased from the face of the fucking planet. You're going to be in Argentina. And I mean, if you're okay with that, because you got to realize a lot of Black people are okay with that. But if you're okay with that, congratulations. But as for me, my thing is that I'm gonna my goal, get my lineage Black. Go back to Africa. But as far as hey, how what's the easiest? How can you get $1 million? How could you get $1 billion? How could you get money? Yeah, if your goal, and a lot of people in America's goal is money, okay, especially Atlanta, and I'm not saying especially Atlanta because I'm looking at Atlanta today. I'm saying especially Atlanta because Marcus Garvey said it, because Du Bois said it, because sorry,
yeah. No, I was agreeing.
Everybody understands. Like people back 100 years ago were saying, damn, man, the Black folk in Atlanta sure love money, right? This is like 100 years later, we still like, damn, the Black folk in America. But and I don't know if this guy's from Atlanta. I'm just saying, right? my point is that yeah, if your goal is to get money, right? Yeah, you're probably gonna choose to stay in America. I'm not saying there's not big money in Africa, because there's absolutely big money in Africa. The richest black person in the world is from Africa. But like half of the billionaires are from America, and a lot of the millionaires are from America. So they'll have the black billionaires, and then most of the fucking billionaires on the planet, really. But in that regard, yeah, if your goal, and again, your goal probably is going to be money, get money. If your goal is money, being the white boy's lapdog is what you'll probably want to do. And we all know this. Them boys ain't playing basketball day in, day out because they like the sport. Okay? I mean, sure, the sport is nice, but a lot of them are trying to get discovered. Them boys ain't, them girls ain't on TikTok shaking their ass and blah, 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 because they don't want to go viral. These motherfuckers ain't making a million damn podcasts because they don't want to make millions. These motherfuckers ain't doing, what else are we doing? Oh, music. We ain't putting out these stupid ass tracks because we feel like we have an important message to share. Hip hop, I'll just say this, I'll finish with this. Hip hop used to be rebel music. You understand? Fight the power, or crack is whack, or that kind of stuff. Put in the messaging out, hey, get out of the fucking Vietnam, whatever way I want. But you get what I'm saying. Put out these kind of messages, right? Today, Sexy Red's not about, she's like, hey, how can I get fucking rich? Eat my booty hole. Eat my booty hole like a song. That's it. And they're doing this on purpose. So you understand that a lot of black folk have this mentality, and a lot of white folk know how to use that. And unfortunately, we don't know how to use that. Black man wants to get black woman wants to get rich, right? If a black woman wants to get rich, can I tell her anything? No, I don't know how to. I don't know. If I knew how to get rich, would I tell you? I mean, I wouldn't tell you. Just, I mean, I'd be rich. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. That's it.
Appreciate that, Oni. Real good discussion there. Trigger said in the chat that interracial will just increase more and more. It's just a matter of how fast that process will be. That's a grim, but I think sensible view of what's to come. We've seen it before. Let's go to Should Be topic number 4 tonight. Should Be topic number 4 tonight. We're making good time, by the way. Should Be topic number 4 tonight says travel warnings for Bahamas and Jamaica. This came with a link. It's taking us to the end. I'll play it as opposed to having to read the article.
Tonight, 2 of the most beautiful destinations in the Caribbean now clouded by a stark warning from the U.S. government amid a rise in violent crime. The State Department bumping up the advisory level from 2 to 3 in Jamaica, urging Americans to reconsider travel there, and updating a level 2 advisory in the Bahamas, telling tourists to exercise extreme caution, though security alerts a response to reports of violent crime on the islands. 65 murders in Jamaica and 18 murders in the Bahamas reported since January 1st of 2024. The U.S. Embassy in Jamaica warning of home invasions, armed robberies, sexual assaults, and homicides, detailing that sexual assaults occur frequently, even at the all-inclusive resorts, and that local police do not respond effectively to serious incidents. In light of these startling numbers, the island's police force increasing patrols and adding officers.
We exceed 1,200 police officers joining the force per year, which of course now means that we are actually growing the force.
Jamaica's National Police pointing out the number of homicides have actually dropped by nearly 20% compared to January of last year. And the U.S. Embassy in the Bahamas alerting visitors that murders have occurred at all hours, including in broad daylight in the streets, pointing to retaliatory gang violence as the primary motive.
The persistent cycle of violence and crime has been a dark cloud over our nation.
But the Bahamas foreign minister still encouraging travelers to visit, saying in part, while we acknowledge that states have a right to inform their citizens traveling abroad about potential risks, we do not tourists traveling to the Bahamas.
Is there any practical advice you can give to tourists that are still planning to go to these locations? The main thing that we always talk about is to maintain situational awareness. Folks are buried in their phone. They're not paying attention to their surroundings. They are posing for their pictures that they post on Instagram and social media, and that makes them an easy target.
Cherie McAlpine, a San Francisco resident who has been traveling to the Bahamas with her family for years, is heeding the increased warnings.
Because I spent so much time in the Bahamas, the moment the alert came out, friends and family ping my email and my text messages with notice that the alert had come out and asking me what my plans were with regards to the Bahamas.
But still plans to visit the Bahamas in the coming weeks.
I will absolutely be more vigilant. I will be more precautious about the places that I'll go. I'll go to well-lit areas. I won't go to places alone. And I will probably limit my time in Nassau and spend more time in the outer islands.
And it's important to keep in mind when it comes to the Bahamas that a level 2 advisory is the same that the Department of State has given to places like France, the United Kingdom, and Italy. All destinations frequently visited by Americans who, of course, take the necessary precautions.
I've been
Their bullets ring out in deadly gunfights on the streets of Mexico. Their very presence instilling fear.
I don't know why
the arming organizations whose illegal drug operations have fueled an out-of-control fentanyl.
I don't know why that was taking so long to pause. Sorry about that. But let me stop sharing my screen because that's NBC. By the way, the FIFA content too. Some of you post some stuff that has FIFA content. They stay knocking me for that stuff. So let's not post any FIFA content stuff. But I've been keeping an eye on some of this stuff going on in my hometown. And recently, there's some white documentarians, I think, from the U.S. who are documenting gang violence down there. You know, in the last prompt and in several weeks now, we've been talking about it. Like, there's some propaganda campaign, I think, going on for the Caribbean at large, and they starting with us and Jamaica. But there's something that they're trying to do in that region, namely with the economy and stuff like that. But something is coming, and they're pushing this propaganda, I believe, to push military intervention and stuff like that in those places. So something to keep an eye on, in my opinion. Zuliism, you're from the region. What say you to what you saw?
I was watching something. Somebody had posted something about they were repudiating exactly that by making their own piece, saying that I want to attack Jamaica, but Louisiana, Chicago, Memphis, and other states in America have more violence than Jamaica and Nassau, but I don't see not to visit there. So at the end of the day, I could agree that could be a propaganda piece or whatever, but who's pushing it? Is it to push people towards another island, for the other island to make money and then come back around and say, okay, that island? Is it a gain? Is it an economic gain? Oh, maybe Jamaica had mad tourism last year, so let's push some towards Trinidad, up towards certain island. Maybe Antigua got a new hotel from Sendos, or let's push them there so we could make money. I don't know, but again, these Caribbean countries cannot survive on tourism alone. If there is gang violence, we all know the reason there's gang violence. Maybe the people in there don't have ways to make a living, and I'm not saying it's right to do that, but again, you got to take these things at face value. The same way we looked at Marilyn Mosby and said that could be a witch hunt. The same thing right here could be a hit. So it's so sad, but I don't know what to say, man. I mean, anytime you visit any countries, you should keep your head on the swivel because you don't know the custom, you don't know the areas, and when people see you as a tourist, a lot of people might want to take advantage because they think you come from America And a lot of us sometimes we go over these Caribbean islands, we showing off, we got this, we got Gucci this, Gucci that, and diamond chains and all of that. So just gotta be careful. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, Azuli makes some good points. There is violence, but for America to come finger pointing and finger wagging is peak hypocrisy. Which is why I think they're gonna make this into a thing to try to have military intervention into those countries. But Black Steel, what say you to all of it?
I didn't consider the military intervention option, but the Monroe Doctrine is still in effect. The United States feels that the entire Western Hemisphere is their sphere of influence. They really feel that. So I wouldn't be surprised. And it's funny, 'cause towards the end, they say the level 2 designation is the same as France, is the same as several European countries. So this is basically a nothing burger, is what you're trying to say? That France and other countries have high rates of violence. To Julie's point, there's plenty of American cities that have had a lot more than 18 murders since January 1st. And the question is, who's being killed? Is it tourists being killed? Is it the locals being killed? Because I'm pretty sure we add the number of murders in America. Hell, and how many school shootings you go in there and you kill 15 people? Any country needs a travel advisor. It's the United States of fucking America. That's the country that needs a travel advisor. This country, like you said, it's a peak American hypocrisy. How you gonna sit up here and say crime advisor? Probably created due to American economic policies that keep countries in the Caribbean and Latin America from properly developing, taking full advantage of their resources. That's probably why there's crime and violence in these nations, because they're under control of the US economic system, this so-called rules-based international order. But who the fuck makes the rules? America makes the rules. And if you don't like it, well, hell, we got something for you if you don't like it. That is changing. I definitely want, I think sometimes these nations are a little bit too dependent on tourism. So that does need to change. But in the meantime, just keeping yourself safe. We don't hear this type of shit about Mexico. People are visiting Mexico all the time. Mexico, Latin America, the femicide capitals of the world. We talk about femicide against Black people, but Latin America they're the real people out here committing femicide. But you don't hear, oh, you don't go to Mexico. Millions of people go to Cancun and Cozumel all the time. So, like you said, it's real suspicious. They want to try to make it seem these countries with majority Black people are ungovernable, uncontrollable, and hey, we got to send in the military to protect our citizens. Here you go. Here we go again. We got another grenade on our hands. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Black Steel. Yeah, something Azuli said, and Black Steel touched on it too, which is also true too. Listen, man, you go to a foreign country. How about you? I get the idea. Some people will want to see how the people live. Well, maybe that's not for you. There was a time in my area home, which was called like Over the Hill, right? You wouldn't see tourists like that. Every once in a blue moon, you see a white person be like, "What the fuck they doing here?" But since I've moved from there, I know that you'll see them in Baintown and Grantstown. Like, what you doing there? What you doing there, camper? What are you doing there? A lot of Bahamians try to stay away from certain areas, like normal people, right? What are you doing there? So this idea that you think you could go to this, in your mind, this primitive place, and you have the run of the shop. You could do whatever you want. No, it doesn't go like that. Mind your manners. Mind your fucking manners sometimes. But most of those murders, from my understanding, are not even tourists anyway. I think it's a rare occasion a tourist, at least in my country, is harmed. I remember a guy, Buana should remember this. He might even remember better than I do. I forgot the guy's name now, but there was a guy who killed a white woman, hired a Bahamian guy years ago, like around 2000 or so. The Bahamian guy to kill her husband while they're on a horse and carriage ride. And I think he was out here on the run and stuff. They had him on America's Most Wanted and stuff like that. Some real weird stuff. But for the most part, tourists aren't harmed in those places, to my knowledge. Buana might have something different. We'll throw it to Buana in a second, but only would say.
Yeah, I think well, there's two parts to it. Like you said, maybe it's a front for invasion. That's a possibility, right? But on the other hand, it's like, the way how I live my life is, if I get lemons, I make lemonade. Black folk so dependent on tourism. That's just not what you should be doing. And I'm not saying that there are not American cities that are focused on tourism, because there are. I mean, I'm not sure about which they are. Maybe like Tampa, Florida, or some shit. Wherever Disney World is, or wherever. Orlando, Florida. I don't know where else. New York City, maybe a little bit, but not really. But still, either way, it's well past the time that you should be saying, you know what, this is where my economy should be. We got such beautiful, come enjoy the islands. No, start producing shit. Be productive. You have, like, I'm telling you, man, sometimes I think to myself, I wouldn't mind going to Jamaica. Last time I was in Jamaica, oh my gosh, it's like the economic opportunity there, if you have a little bit of bread, if you have a little bit of change, is tremendous. Like when you realize that, some of the favorite snack in Jamaica might be like some Trinidadian cookies or some shit, right? But the idea is that when you realize that our people or those nations are producing what they consume, right? You could turn up the production 10 times, or you could turn up the trade 10 times. Instead of like let's say, Jamaica has a nice, chip brand or a nice drink brand. They have a bunch of drinks and shit, right? You could sell those in markets around the world. But you have to pivot your economy accordingly. And this whole, hey man, let's attract the tourist dollar. Let's attract the tourist dollar. That's just gonna get you to a lot of process. Like most people traveling, and I'm not even saying this as a passport bro. I'm saying this as an individual. A lot of travel is sex tourism. Not just passport bros and passport hoes, but white folk been on that time, rent a rasta and shit. A lot of travel is just prostitution. And the way how it appears in Africa, at least, a lot of it is children fucking prostitution. Okay? You have to say to yourself, like, it's very, like, not that many people are like, hey, you know what, I just gotta get to a lot of people are like, hey, let me get to a beach, but they're like, let me get some dick with the beach. Like a lot of women are saying, let me get some dick with the beach. It's not, I want to go look at this beach. My point is, you have to graduate as a people at some point and say, hey, look, what about we pivot our economy towards something productive because our people are suffering? America, I do not trust a damn thing America said. And I'm not saying that, America might, I'm not saying there's nobody being killed. Of course, there are people being killed, But, the way how human killings often work is, depending on what area you go to. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that simple. Like, Brooklyn's dangerous, but, if you go to my neighborhood, it's not really nothing going on. You know what I mean? Like, I could leave my door unlocked all night, but I don't, but I could. But either way, I don't know if I can leave it open and unlocked, but still. But my point being that, yeah, like of course there's, like, everywhere is dangerous if you go the wrong area, or if you step on the wrong person's toe. You know what I mean? You step on the wrong person's foot. Back in the day, they said, yeah, if you step on somebody's shoe in America or New York, they would have killed you. Somebody would have killed you for stepping on their shoe back in the day. Now, nowadays, it's not really the case, but back in the day, yeah. When I was younger, sure. But my point is this. Yeah, America gives travel warnings for every motherfucking place. Like I said, France was a travel warnings. You know? America is about propaganda. It's about so on and so forth. But that should be your blessing. Now, assuming that doesn't mean it's an invasion, which is a bad thing, but that should mean, hey, look, what about we don't put too many resources in the fucking tourism industry? And what about we start exporting, pineapples, or we start exporting mangoes, or we start, processing mango pie fillings, because a lot of people want to make mango pie fillings. What about we connect with the Food Network, and say, hey, try this, shoot this video of mango pie filling and blah 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 blah, or mango, whatever. What about we do something like that? Instead of saying, wait, America, why don't you put us on your good list again? Because it's like this is the issue. If somebody says, hey, look, don't go to Oni's house, I'm not gonna be crying. I'm gonna say, good, I ain't want your dumb ass in my house anyway. That's what the Caribbean people should be doing. Because I tell you, sometimes I say to myself, because I'm focused on going to Africa. I'm focused on being in Africa. But sometimes I'm like, yo, I wouldn't mind being in motherfucking Jamaica. When I sat there, I was like, damn, there's so much economic opportunity. If you could just even off of this principle, let me tell you this. Even if you sell the same damn drink, because the drink is gonna cost 100 Jamaican dollars, right? Which is about $1, right? But it's not about $1. It's like really about like 87 cents. But whatever. My point is this: you sell that same thing that's because they treat $100 like we would treat $1. So you buy a bottle of water for the same bottle of water you buy for $1, they buy it for $100, right? So my point is this: if you even just sell that single bottle of water in America, just off of the currency, you're making a profit. Because you're essentially exchanging 100 for 100, for a 1 for a 1, but the currency is worth more. You're essentially just changing 87 cents for $1. And I mean, you might say, well, that's not that. Yeah, I mean, if you could afford to transport it, if you could afford to direct it, if you could afford to organize it, there's so much opportunity just off of that. Just off of trade with America, but not even just America. Trade with Trinidad, trade with Haiti, trade with wherever. If you just do that, you could be set. And the country could be set. The people could be set. But instead, we're like, hey, y'all want to come see this beach? Nobody gives a fuck about no beaches. Oh, you got some pretty women. Yeah, you got some pretty women. But what's that got to do with? What's that? Like you're selling yourself short. So yeah, when a white boy tells you, hey, I don't want to go to your country, you just say, finally. Now let us get to working on ourselves. That's it.
Okay, so
I agree with everything that. Hold on, boy. I agree with everything that you said. The one thing I'll add, and I don't want no one talking about no weakness and all kind of bullshit. One thing I'll add is there have been Caribbean countries that did do just that, and the U.S., going back to Black Steel's Monroe Doctrine, the U.S. sabotaged those efforts. Dominica had the banana going on. They got Chiquita banana to sabotage that. I think they got them from Mexico or some shit. So all I'm saying is do that, absolutely, and be prepared to protect it as a group, as a region. Be prepared to protect it. That's my one addition to what Oni said.
No, let me add to that though. The trouble is that's I like what you said. I respect what you said. What I want to say to that is this. That's why you don't want those motherfuckers in your country at all. Because Absolutely. A lot of times you had the inside agent. So the example I know best is Grenada, right? You know what happened in Grenada? I mean, because it's like you have, like, if you don't understand that this white boy is not your enemy, right? You're gonna be the enemy within. A lot of times you fall apart because of the enemy within. So I'm gonna tell you about the Grenada situation. This man is getting interviewed by, I think it's ABC, American Broadcast Company, or whatever, whatever it's called, right? They are interviewing this dude, right? The leader of Grenada, Maurice Bishop. They're interviewing him, and he's showing them around. And he's like, yeah, they're like, oh, well, America's saying you're building a military base or some shit. He's like, no, to the ABC, American Broadcast Network. No, we're not building a military base. No, what you see is just a school, and this school has a bunch of American students, and blah blah blah. So what was the pretext of Reagan's invasion? Oh, y'all got a bunch of American students hostage or some shit. Like you got to realize these white boys look for a pretext, especially on the stage. And I'm not saying that they always have a pretext or they always so on and so forth, but you gotta see, like, for instance, you look at what Israel's getting away with, right? They don't just we ain't, this motherfucker. No, they're telling you, hey, look, this will happen on this day. Look, they have our people. Look, they have like you don't have to do this pretext bullshit, but they do it because because their people are, a lot of their people, kind of clowning, whatever, but they do it. My point is, right? So you don't give them anything. You don't give them anything. And the problem is this: when you have the tourism, you're giving them fuel, because all it takes is one American to say, "Oh no," and they've been doing this they've been doing this so long. It's not even funny. Like, I was just reading about, what country was I reading about? The Mutapa Empire. Okay, now when I say Mutapa Empire, people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Yes, an empire back in South Africa. Okay, once upon a time, I think it was the Mutapa Empire I'm talking about, but once upon a time, there was this empire in Southern Africa, like 15 something, whatever, right? And the Portuguese came in, and the Portuguese pretty much sent some missionary up there, and the missionary was well received, well treated, whatever. Then the missionary died. And then Portugal was like, okay, time to invade. Okay? So they've been doing this from 15 something, and we still saying to ourselves, I can't wait to open the doors. I can't wait to open, I want some more tourists. The tourists are a trick. Because see, we heard 65 people dead, and that was, okay, that's fine. Right? We suspect none of them were Americans. But guess what? If you have 20 Americans dead, yeah, America might say, I'm going to fucking invade. And you're going to be the dummy who allowed 20 Americans into your fucking country when you know America is the biggest exporter of terrorism. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and to add to that list I was given to, they stole the pineapple from us, from the Bahamas, and started growing it in Hawaii too. Yeah, so you have to, only just backed up my point. You have to be able to protect what you're doing as well. Trigger Happy 262 in the chat says that's why a strong Africa is important, because Africa can't protect our people in the Caribbean too. The Caribbeans, naturally being islands, will be at the whims of America. With that said, let's hear from Buana, who's heard from all of us. What say you?
Yeah, so it was an interesting discussion, man. Many things were said. Let me first deal with this. When they talk about the Bahamas, Koku say he's from Over the Hill. And let me tell the audience who doesn't know, Over the Hill is not an easy place. It's like you saying I'm from Kingston, or it's like a Italian person saying I'm from Sicily. The man you hearing on the microphone, probably 99.9% of the brothers he probably would have grown up with would never have his experience. He's an exceptional individual to be able to do the kinds of things that he's doing, coming from the place he's coming from. Let me just say that. The second thing I wanted to say is, I don't know if Oni knows, because he's a tether from Jamaica, so he would know that Jamaica has diversified the economy, brother. It's not from the whims of the government, but the Jamaican people have decided, hey, we're gonna sell this marijuana here. This is an economy that is sellable to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world wants to purchase the product that we produce called marijuana. And they've been selling marijuana, making millions of dollars off of it, as a matter of fact. Now the world, America has decided to be more lenient, but Canada is saying, hey, marijuana is an enterprise that we need to investigate, and they are currently doing business with Jamaica right now in terms of the exchange of sending marijuana to Canada. Also, another industry that they benefit from greatly is music. Reggae music is an industry that is sent all over the world. That's a product that Jamaica creates that they send over the world globally, and it's a global phenomenon. Now, If you was to argue that the government doesn't back it enough, that's a legitimate argument. But no mistake about it, reggae music is an industry that the world benefits from, that Jamaica is the originator of. That they don't use it to its full potential, but they've been using it. Because I mean, you know what, many people know what reggae music would have done in the world. So that is an industry as well. Not only that, some people drink Red Stripe. Tonight I drink in Appleton. The alcohol industry is an industry is also talks about the diversification of the economy. It's not just tourism. It extends beyond that. But if you don't know, you would just think it's just tourism. Now, it's not to say that tourism is one of the major things that bring in a lot of that money, but reggae music, marijuana, all these things are younger industries. They need some time to develop to the point to where they making the same amount of dollars that the economy of tourism brings in. But they are developing, that they have diversified the economy. We have not. We have not to the extent of Jamaica. Trinidad, with the exploitation of Carnival and what they doing, big business, big business. We'll get there. I think eventually we'll get there in terms of diversification. We have not gotten there yet. Let me also say this, because this is a teachable moment for people who don't know. My brother, like Black Steel. Black Steel, you see how they keep us in line in the Bahamas? They issue threats against our economy when we don't do their bidding in the world global. Let me explain myself. Now, we have been doing big business with America for many, many years. But as an independent countries can decide who they want to do business with. Now you see the Chinese government want to do business with places like Jamaica and the Bahamas. We have a multi-billion-dollar hotel in the Bahamas from China, from the money is coming from China. The American government say, not in my backyard. Monroe Doctrine. We're gonna issue a threat with our so-called citizens of our country and say, well, if you patronize these people, here's the things of what could happen. Really, they ain't gonna tell you the truth. The truth is they don't want you to do business with others. Because Monroe Doctrine says this is our backyard. You only can do business with us. So who are you as an independent nation deciding to do business with other people in the world besides us? So they issue a so-called travel warning with their citizens. It's not to suggest, and it's what's break my heart sometimes is the black woman. They use the black woman. The black woman say she afraid of other black people who look just like her. Look just like her. Say, well, I could take that advice, and I could be careful. Like you ain't gonna be careful in traveling around in the United States of America. You have to be careful in the Bahamas. Come on, man. Use your brain. What happened? What happened? Use your brain. Use your brain. They bluffing you. You've been to the Bahamas. You experienced the Bahamas, and you're afraid to be around your own people who look just like you, but with having a different accent. Another thing. Let me add another fuel to the fire. Black Steel. If there's crime in California, does it mean the Bahamas, America should issue a travel warning in terms of what's going on in the United States of America? Of course not. America is 51 states. California is one state. Why should I issue a travel warning against the United States of America when only the criminal activity only happening in one state? It's the same argument. Or if I was to say there's crime happening in Port-au-Prince. Okay, Port-au-Prince is one area of Haiti. What about the other areas? Do the Americans question the other areas? No, they can say it's in the whole of Haiti or it's in the whole of the United States. When it's just the issues are just really happening in one place. I live in Nassau, so of course, Mike, we could talk about Nassau for days. But there are other islands that exist. Have never seen no kind of level of crime ever. They don't say Nassau is just one place. And Nassau is the smallest island in the Bahamas. The smallest island. You have many other islands in the Bahamas. But the international media says the Bahamas. You could go into different islands of the Bahamas and never see crime. Or even had ID. You could go in some places in the Bahamas where you could just leave your money on the table and they operate off a trust. You could get whatever you want out of the store and just leave your money on the table. No one would ever question you. These kinds of things exist in the islands of the Bahamas. But they blow up one city in the Bahamas and say, well, because these things are happening in the Bahamas should be issued a crime warning for the whole of the Bahamas. Is that fair? Of course not. But this is to bring our economies in line, really to say, well, if y'all want to do business with China, here's what we gonna do with y'all. We're gonna issue warnings to make it unsafe. So we're gonna F up your economy because we know your economy is based off of tourism. So this is a threat, really and truly. But for people who don't know, I understand. I have to explain it though. I have to explain it. I have to really explain it. But needless to say, let them operate like how they operate. It's their business to do so. But I would just want to ask the citizens of the United States, really and truly, man, you all been to the Bahamas, been coming to the Bahamas. Is it really that nasty and dangerous? The murder for crime that existed the last time in the Bahamas was a white woman who had a Bahamian boyfriend who wanted her husband to die or who wanted her husband to get murdered. So she asked her Bahamian boyfriend, along with his cohorts, to murder her husband on her behalf. She was a white American female person. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about that. The only reasons why you would be in getting into involve yourself with these kinds of criminal activities, many tourists come here looking for cocaine, drugs, marijuana, all manner of different things. They want these things because they want to get high when they come here. So of course you will find yourself in dodgy areas trying to get these things, solicit these things, so it raises the percentage of harm being done to you. Let me also say this: the safest person in the Bahamas is a white tourist. A white tourist is able to go anywhere in the Bahamas without any fear or threat or favor.
Absolutely.
A black person is more at risk. Well, it was a black white lady who was talking, but a white person can go, and the white person go in the most dangerous area and no one would mess with him. Why are they issuing travel warnings? And also, let me say this too. We talk about Marilyn Mosby. Marilyn Mosby, in terms of being prosecuted for Freddie Gray. Well, during that time, there were many black people who were being mistreated by police officers. So one of our government officials decided to say, we're going to issue a travel warning for Bahamian black men in going to the United States of America. We're going to issue a travel warning because we don't want them to get in problems, harm, or whatever against the white police officers who only see a black face and seek to harm Bahamian citizens. So they issued a travel warning for Bahamians who are traveling to the United States. So now, like I say, tit for tat, butter for fat. You kill my dog, I kill your cat. So it's like the governments, they seek revenge. These are the things that people don't know. They only see the media come up with these general statements. And I would, for my brother, like Koku, who lives in the United States, he have this audience. He needs to break down these international things to give them some better understanding of what's going on. So when they see these things, they just won't see these things at the face of it. They can get underneath the surface of things that why is these things happening? Because we have no greater crimes than any other country in the world, brother. Believe you me. Believe you me. But I'll leave it there, Koku. For the continuity of the show, you go ahead and do your thing, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that, boy. Yeah. Also, there's a Karen thing going on too. This is why I say it's a propaganda thing. They have two white women, two Karens, claiming they were sexually assaulted or essayed down there, and the video evidence determined that was a lie. So they don't come back and talk about these things. There's a lot of hoopla when the accusations are made, but then they don't come back and talk about when it's been debunked. So it's a propaganda machine against us. Does anyone want to add any last words here? All right. Let's go to Shoot Breeze topic number 5 tonight. We did good on time tonight. This is the last topic for the night. Shoot Breeze topic number 5 says support black rum business. I felt like we did this before, but I could be wrong. But we'll we'll check out this video, and then we'll have a discussion. By the way, drop your comments in the chat. The show always goes better when there's several people commenting in the chat. So please drop your comments in the chat. Should be something number 5. Support Black rum business. Let's watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
This might seem like a vacation, but for entrepreneur and Trinidad native Mark Quis. Ready? It's an enviable day on the job. Woo, this is the life. Woo! From the shore to the streets, Farrell has a lock on his hometown.
You want to try the coconut jelly, too?
Sure. So refreshing. And every taste it has to offer.
One with sweet and pepper, one with
No
sweet and pepper. What do you think? I put sweet sauce and pepper sauce on everything.
It really brings the flavor out. And now he's serving up one more, a rum that he says is a cut above, called 10 to 1.
People have thought about rum for a long time as a very sort of like narrowly defined spirit, like spring break only, sugary, slushy cocktails that they had that one time in Cancun or whatever. And like the spirit is actually way more versatile, way more elevated than that.
Some say Farrell's perfectly suited as CEO of an up-and-coming, multifaceted spirit brand.
We're trying to kind of bring this perspective of not just rum, but rum culture, Caribbean culture, bring it to a global platform.
An MIT, Cambridge, and Harvard Business School grad, he climbed the corporate ladder at Starbucks, the youngest vice president in the company's history. He brings all of that to a brand that he says goes beyond.
So it's not just the rum.
It's not just the rum, I think, look, the rum is exceptional. Take it from me. Take my word for it, right? I think it's an opportunity to, again, shine a light on a different side of our culture and hopefully take it to a global stage.
For the Caribbean, that story dates back to colonial times, when enslaved Africans were forced to harvest sugarcane by hand and may have developed a way to distill the excess juice known as molasses into rum. The spirit became an unexpected hit, often used as currency, that helped fuel and extend the slave economy.
When people try to understand how celebration has become such a part of the fabric of our people, if you will, I think understanding some of those roots, that genesis, born out of the plantation in the context of rum, born out of Canboulay, and born out of struggle in the context of Carnival, you actually then begin to understand how it really is this underpinning of so many different facets of our culture.
The Africans won their freedom!
The Canboulay ceremony originated in the emancipation of slaves in Trinidad in 1838. As seen in this reenactment, the burning of sugarcane was symbolic of suffering and resistance. In 1881, the British government tried to stamp out the annual celebration, leading to riots. Modern-day Carnival has its roots in that history and is now known as one of the greatest street parades in the world. An energy Farrell is trying to bottle, with ambassadors who take 10 to 1 to another level. Pop star Sierra is now an investor.
It was a pretty magical moment. C is C of Sierra.
Ooh.
Sierra. Now she's amazing. She, in so many ways, is emblematic of a lot of the elements of Caribbean culture I was mentioning that I think we want to put on a global stage. Somebody who is spontaneous and optimist, has range, elevated, but doesn't have an overly exclusive vibe to them. They're willing to welcome others in.
Also important, elevating local celebrities like artist Jimmy October.
When you whine like this and you move like that,
You can't help but move, right?
You have to do it. Yeah.
Who's carving out his own genre, New Calypso.
I mean, I think of Calypso, I think of Harry Belafonte.
Bringing something called New Calypso is paying respect to what has passed and what is already here, but adding a little bit of new youthful energy into it.
So let's be super clear. There's this whole new generation of creators. I call them creators of culture. And you'll see them doing their thing in music, and you'll see them doing their thing in fashion, and you'll see them doing their thing in art. And what I love about this new generation, hopefully I'm a part of it, is
I think you are.
You think I'm a part of it?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. What I love about this new generation is we are doing it unapologetically.
So where are you taking me?
Taking you inside 36 Cornelio, which is a really cool little fashion forward boutique.
Wow. Designer and FIT grad Levi Marcus is part of it too. He has a clothing line collaboration with 10 to 1.
I think the Caribbean has a lot of global influence, but we don't get the credit that we deserve. And ultimately, I think working with Mark, you guys come in here, giving us the opportunity to put our culture out there is really important.
10 to 1 stands for many things. The Federation of 10 Nations that unified their economies from 1958 to 1962. And its initials even mimic that of Trinidad and Tobago.
So it's a little hidden shout out to the home country. It's on there as well. That's right. We're thinking.
A shout out that is making waves in America in Michelin-starred restaurants like 11 Madison Park and new hotspots like French Indonesian eatery Wayan. It all keeps Farrell pretty busy, branding, selling, reimagining, drawing inspiration from his family, his friends, and his fellow creatives. For him, 10 to 1 is a way to show the world that there's no place like his home.
I would love for 10 to 1 to be category redefining. Success is all about like the value that you claim. I think significance in a lot of ways is about what you are able to contribute. For me, it's important that like as part of what 10 to 1 does on this journey is that it provides a little bit of a platform, provides a little bit of a voice, continues to elevate our view of the culture that I'm so proud to be a part of, right? Like if that doesn't shift as a part of 10 to 1's continued growth and success, then it feels like an incomplete story to me.
Cool stuff. I like to see that. And by the way, that story that Oni was mentioning about Trinidad producing products in Jamaica or exporting to Jamaica, I'm gonna try to remember to bring that prompt next week. The thing I always hated about this type of thing is like it always seems to be like a handful of people, and it's not getting properly promoted within the country and between the other Caribbean countries. I've long said, Jamaica had a movie industry since like the early 70s or something, late 60s, early 70s. Jimmy Cliff was in a great movie from back in that time. And I always said, how come my hometown don't have that industry? Because we understand what like something like film is. It's a propaganda. It's a positive propaganda for your own people too. And how come we never have that? How come we don't join these different things? I know a guy. He used to be in New York for a little while too. A guy named Julian. Well, I don't probably know. Julian Believe, who has like a wine out now back home, and I don't know how heavy it's pushed and stuff like that. Buana might be able to tell me if he's familiar. But I always say like we don't push it.
I know Julian. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't push it, and we don't connect these different creatives. Like let's get the filmmakers involved. Let's get which is awesome stuff, man. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Let me mix it up a little bit. Let me start with Only on this one. Only, what say you on this?
Yeah, I was just talking about this. I was literally just saying, hey, look, what Caribbean people, like when you go to Jamaica or when you go to Caribbean islands, there is a lot of opportunity for you if you can do if you know your shit. This guy goes to, what is it, MIT, Harvard, he knows his shit, but he goes back home and he creates alcohol, a rum. He says, hey, look, this is what the market wants. This is what I could do. I wake up and that's it. That's what you're supposed to, like. I just said this. I said, this is what I want to see more of. And this is the thing that you can do. And the brothers live in proof. Now, I like the fact that they mentioned that he sponsored like a musician. I never watched this lady's video. I can't remember her name now. But I think I put it on the community tab. There's this lady named I don't remember her name, but she makes that song "Make Me Water" or "Make Me Sweat" or something like that. And some white boy sponsored that shit. You know, so all over her music video, you could see they're just, you know, showing off the brand of their alcohol type shit. Like, we don't notice, but a lot of the entertainment industry is being supported by these kind of people, these producers, these advertisers, so on and so forth. But either way, I'm just saying to myself, I'm saying to us as a people, like this, like there's so much opportunity in the Caribbean, right? And I kind of want to drink this guy's rum. I'm actually a rum man myself, right? So I mean, obviously, right? But I'm saying that, you know, there's just so much opportunity for wealth. There's so much opportunity for us as a people. And I mean, granted, it's a little harder if you don't have it. You know, this guy going to a bunch of Ivy League schools, you know, he could get it, right? Pause. Right? But like he could get wealth, right? But what I'm saying is that if you find yourself in that position, and a lot of us are in that position, right? Leveraging. Too many of us do not leverage the opportunities we have in front of us. And then we complain, oh man, why does white boy don't want to, you know, white boy, blah, blah. Of course the white boy, like the white boy is not your friend. The white boy is not your friend. And you know, until you figure out the white boy is not your friend, you know, you're always going to have a hard time. But anyway, that's all I want to say. I mean, obviously you support this brother. That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to drinking some 10-1, to be honest. Black Steel, what say you?
I don't have anything negative to say about this. This is a very positive story, and I wish this brother all the success in the world. Yeah, I'm not familiar with. Never heard of this rum. I'm not much of a rum drinker myself, but I'll try anything. I'm looking forward to maybe getting a hold of some of this if it comes to the U.S. And I think it's definitely going to be a success. I'm always happy to see Black people, African people expand business and work together and create industry. This is exactly what we were talking about in the previous prompt. Not limiting your stuff just to tourism. Now, you know, you get a Black-owned spirit like that. That's gonna be huge. I wish him all the success in the world. Oh, who was that? Sierra with it? Oh yes, it's already getting all right. I already see. I see him. All right. That's all. I'll leave it there. Oh, who's
All right,
the
thank
reporter
you.
was nice looking too, or so you know. I guess I play in the snow a little bit.
Ah, boy, thank you for that, Black Steel. Let's throw it to our boy who's a creative Caribbean guy as well. Zuli, what say you to this? Zuli, your mic is muted if you're speaking. All right, he's probably sleeping.
I don't think
It's Saturday night. You know what he is. You know what he is.
Yeah, by the whole house. Let's have from Buana.
Yeah. So, I just want to say that if it's in New York restaurants, because they said it was in New York restaurants, I'm sure it's in New York right now. So the brothers got to get a bottle. I don't know if it reached South Florida yet, where Black Steel is. I guess when I don't even know if Black Steel is a drinker. But if you buy a bottle, give it to a brother who may drink rum. Yeah, I'm sure you got a lot of Caribbean brothers around there who don't mind drinking some rum. But even if it's on the strength of that, just buy a bottle for the brothers and maybe just pass it out to them if they drink rum. But I think that what the brother is doing is positive. And like I say, he is not the only. I drink Appleton. Appleton is Jamaican rum. We make they do other things in the Caribbean, and like what he was saying, there are other opportunities that exist in the Caribbean, and you should leverage your experiences, your unique experiences, and if you could find something that you could sell to the marketplace, absolutely sell it. Coco has a unique experience coming from the Caribbean, in particular one of the smaller islands, and he does have something to contribute that is a unique experience. So does Coco. Black steel is coming from an African American rich history of our country. We all have something to offer the world that the world is willing to purchase. You know what I mean? And this guy is able to produce a product that is sellable. I was watching a program by this Nigerian brother. He made a movie called The Mother of George, and it's a Nigerian movie that took place where the guy was filming in New York City, and automatically I was wondering to myself, did his really see this? Did his really see this? You know, the mother of George. Did he watch this movie yet? You know, because I automatically was thinking about him. There are obviously we could use our talents to be marketable to the world, to offer something, whether it's a service or a product that people are be willing to buy. You would be surprised. You would be surprised. And I think that the first tack we should not take is the fact that it's not sellable, it won't work or whatever. Try it. You will never know that the people will be willing to purchase, buy, or patronize the many different skill sets that we actually have. Because as I said before, the world is based off a bluff. You know, they will tell you that the Negro has nothing to offer to the world. Forget about it. We found him in Africa with a bone in his nose. But we understand that these things are lies. These things are lies. And if one white man decided to say, well, we don't want to do business with you, what about the rest of the world? Who wouldn't mind doing business with you? Who would love to entertain business with you? Don't forget don't get confused about one person who may be a naysayer when there are hundreds of other people who would embrace your message. You know, I think that we get so focused on one particular individual or one person or one perspective where we forget or negate the fact that there are other perspectives that exist in the world that we could offer. We could offer. Absolutely, we could offer to different people. Just because America may not like rum, hey, maybe Russia might like Caribbean rum. Russia is a big place. Let's go sell it there. You know, one door closed, other doors open. So we embrace that. We embrace that. And we embrace the criticism too. And we embrace well, we say no here, but there are other people who may say no in other space, other who may say yes in other places and spaces. Don't get caught up with the rejection, man. Get caught up with the process. Because for the one person who may say no to his rum, he understands that there are other people who want to say, we want this 10 to 1. And we are willing to purchase it. And also for this product, also for the product Koku is selling. For the one individual who may say, well, we don't like this platform. There may be hundreds more who will be like, I benefit so much on this platform. What can I contribute? How much money do you want me to give? This is why we should stay on message. This is the important things in staying on message. Don't get caught up in one person's opinion when there are others who could benefit from your message. And even if the people eventually don't come on board, we can continue. We may get other subscribers, other people who want to love what we do. You know, this is the importance of resiliency and staying on message. Staying on message. And I applaud the brother in what he's trying to do in building his business and building his brand. I applaud him. I applaud him in doing that. But I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I applaud him too. And I appreciate the message that you sent out. That message heard, by the way. But like I was saying, I just wish sometimes the countries connect these things a bit better as opposed to the individuals kind of hustling to try and make them happen. I mentioned Believe Wine. How is that doing as far as you know down there?
I saw some advertisements in terms of some what's the boards, the notice boards to say, well, hey, I'm selling Believe. I would initially at the beginning of Julian's career, I was playing basketball together, believe it or not, and I wanted to be his manager. Like initially when he started to sing, but
right.
I personally think that he doesn't have a good manager, and not only manager. Some things, Koku, you have to do with agency, and he can't leave things up to other people. You gotta push your shit, just like how Jay-Z them do with the Rockefeller business, and Cartel did with his rum stuff like that. You gotta push your stuff. If nobody will, you gotta get behind it. And I feel like you have to have drive in doing that. And if you don't do it, it'll go to the wayside. The last time I checked, his wine was selling out in front of one in front of a grocery store. I'm saying you have to. The brother, he's a singer. He needs to hire a business person. Singers do singer shit. Business person assist you in moving along your product and services. The show is called show business. Julian is the show, but he needs to understand the business more. If you understand the business, you will be able to make more money. Because it ain't just about a performance. It's about what else you could provide. And I feel like it's not selling. I feel like it's not. It could sell more. That's what I could see. I feel like his product could sell more, but I think that he needs to understand the business part of the show. But I'll leave it there. I'll leave it.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, but thanks for that insight. Yeah, he used to play ball back in the day too. One last question, Buana, and you guys forgive me on this, but I have to ask someone who's there. What's the movie making industry looking like down there?
It's not the best. I think there are more things that could be done here. My cousin is kind of a show person, Dynamite Daisy. She's a show person. You know,
okay.
Yeah. So we need more movie writers. They have a small, I think it's growing, but I think that they could use the example of Nigeria in terms of making guerrilla style films, making films cheaply and selling it internationally where you can make a product from it. I think that the brothers them need to be more expansive. And this is why I was trying to petition Azuli one time when I was saying that even though America have its venue, have its services and whatever, he is a French speaker. He's a black man. The African world, the French speaking African world is a vast world. You must have to come on the side of the proverbial boxes sometimes to get the things and initiatives that you need to get. You can't work within the system sometimes. There's a broader world out there. My sister told me a long time the world is bigger than the United States, and it absolutely is. There are other venues to get to the so-called proverbial bag or to get your message out there. And I think that with us, we need to not be afraid to investigate other venues because there's only so much positions in the so-called Hollywood world to get you to where you need to be. But there's Nollywood, there's Ghana Wood or whatever you call it. There's so-called Caribbean areas like Jamaica, like you say, they produce movies and things of that nature. But you could create your own industry. But I think that the methodology of going behind it, guerrilla style, if you have to, you could do great things with that industry. And I think that we are not necessarily as strong as we need to be, but it's growing, Koku. It's growing, but slowly.
Okay, all right. Is Azuli back? I'm guessing not. So that was the last prompt of the night. That's our show this week. I want to thank everyone who participated. The chat was a little bit quiet after a certain point, but appreciate Trigger Happy 262. Appreciate the matron and any others who would have dropped a comment. Shout out to Anthony McPhail he was in the chat for the matron, I think, and he said he had COVID. So I'm hoping speedy recovery to him. Hopefully we see him next week. I know that's his big day. I saw him in the chat with Bakari talking to Pi Benny. So I know his birthday is next week, Saturday. So hopefully we'll see him next week. We can wish him a happy birthday. Anyone wants to shout out anything positive, I'll go down the line. Or Zuli's on here, so I'm not going to bother. Black Steel, you want to shout anything out positive this week?
It's my son's birthday. My son turned 20. So happy birthday to my son.
Oh, congrats to him, man. Congrats to both of you. Happy birthday. Let's go to Oni. Oni, what do you want to shout out this week?
Shout out. Oh, nothing. Just kind of, I don't know. I guess I'll shout out everybody who's trying to resist the monopoly of power America's trying to exude. I think I began into a big trouble because I'm just not a fan of America. I guess I've never been, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, shout out all that.
Appreciate that. Only make sure you guys subscribe to his channel, The Pro Black Perspective, as well as the matrons, Brother Bakari, Forecast, Consider Cheek, as well. Last but not least, Buana, what you want to shout out this week?
I just want to shout out all the brothers who contributed tonight. They all did a yeoman's job of really showing up and doing your thing tonight. Had very valuable contribution. Shout out to the matron as well. I have to keep on pressuring that because I think that she, in terms of reading audiobooks for our people, black books that is out of print, but these are important books to read. She just finished Carlos Cook's. Carlos Cooks is interesting. He's an interesting mind. Carlos Cooks is the son of Marcus Garvey spiritually. Whatever you mean, whatever you believe in terms of spirituality, but he had ideas about the world that really is consistent with the Bitter Medicine podcast. If you listen to Carlos Cook's books in terms of what he is talking about internationally, what he was talking about in terms of our internal community, what he was talking about in spirituality, you would listen to the Bitter Medicine podcast. I feel like if you listen to Carlos Cook's message, we are on message. We are on message. If Carlos Cooks was alive in 2024, he would be an encourager of the message that the Bitter Medicine podcast is sending out. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So shout out to Matron for bringing these ideas and raising the ghost of Carlos Cooks in terms of the ideas that he had when he lived in this world. And shout out to people who would contributed to her reading of Carlos Cooks. And for Matron, if you listen to this message, like once again, I say you got to put up the PayPal. Cash App still working my country, sister. But I'll leave it there, and blessings to all the brothers.
All right, appreciate that. Appreciate that message about the matron. Very true. Please support the matron and what she's doing. I'll shout out Huey P. Newton. Today would have been his birthday. So shout out to Huey P. Newton. Hopefully he has given birth to many solid individuals since his time on earth. And I'll leave it there. We'll be back next week, Saturday. We'll be back at 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. In the meantime, look in the description of the episode. You can find the Discord. Go on the Discord, navigate yourself to the Shoot the Breeze channel, and you can post topics that you'd like to see discussed as well. Until next week, guys, you guys be good. Take care. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.